Good morning, everyone. Meteorologist Daniel McFarland here to give you an update on what is going on with the radar. As you can see, we are looking at plenty of rain. Most of it is down towards our south. A lot of moderate rainfall I'm seeing on the radar as well. If I had to say any spot of severe weather concern is mainly going to be towards our south at the moment. So the area I'm circling, including Sumter County, Dooley, Crisp, Wilcox, Bleckley, Pulaski counties, that area down there has the best chance to see any kind of strong to severe thunderstorms popping up, and I'm going to be keeping you updated throughout the whole morning. All right, give me one moment. I'm going to be coming back with you guys in just a second, and we are going to be talking a lot more about this. Sorry about that, guys. Just had to check something with a couple of the people in the back, and we are all good to go. Again, guys, if you're just now joining me, let me know where you're watching from. I really want to hear about where you guys are staying, what you're seeing out by your house, and things like that. Make sure to share the video. That's always a big help out there. And if I had to say anything about the weather so far, it's mainly just rain. We're not seeing a ton of that strong wind really pushing into anywhere just yet, but that will be an issue throughout most of the day. So again, guys, make sure to share the video, like it, all those kind of fun stuff. We're going to be getting a lot more into what we're expecting with the weather right now. So if you guys look closely around Albany, I want to show you guys this because all the weather down towards the south in this area will be moving up towards middle Georgia. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning down there. Again, not in our area, but if you know anyone close towards Albany, that is where they're looking at that warning. These yellow outlined areas are going to be severe thunderstorm warnings, and this one further down towards the south is a tornado warning. Now that is a little bit further away, but you can see Thomasville does have that tornado warning. So if you know anyone down there, just make sure to let them know that they do have a tornado warning, and that's something that they'll be dealing with at least for the next, let me check how long this one's going to last for. This one started at 9:20, so it's a pretty fresh one. It'll be lasting for a while as well, but I don't think that one's going to hold up its strength for it to make it all the way up to middle Georgia. All right, so again, guys, don't forget to let me know where you're watching from. I'm going to check in with some of your comments right now. I can see plenty of people that are watching in Macon. Good morning to you all. Warner Robins is also a popular one this morning. Have you guys seen any rain so far in your area? I think most of the area has seen rain. What about thunderstorms? I guess that's really one thing I want to know. Let's see, Sonia's in Cordele. I see Thompson in Bonaire. I know the guys, there's a little bit of a delay between me reading the comments and you guys posting them, so bear with me a little bit on those. Jennifer is in Dublin. She says it's windy and cloudy right now. Yeah, let's talk about that. That's a good point, Jennifer. We're going to talk about the wind because that is definitely going to be the biggest threat today. Just about everyone is going to be looking at strong wind, maybe even close to 50 to 60 miles per hour. So definitely on the stronger side here. And when it comes to what we can expect, I think 30 will be our average wind gust throughout the day, but at the highest, I could easily see winds upwards of 50 to 60 miles per hour. So right here is your current wind speed, okay? So you're not really looking at real impressive numbers here. Warner Robins, current wind around 21, same thing with Vienna. Abbeville, very similar. The wind gust is what you want to keep an eye on, and that's where Macon and Warner Robins are both sitting around 25. So I'm sure you guys have noticed that wind so far. That will only get worse here over the next couple hours. At the moment, guys, I'm trying to get a word from the National Weather Service about what they see, trying to get that into you. All right, let's pull up the radar one more time. Okay, so we are getting some more lightning strikes in middle Georgia. It's mainly south. Looks like one in Houston County not too long ago. A little bit north of Hawkinsville over there. Okay. Montezuma. You know, one thing I want to check, you guys, I want to look at what is called velocity. Now, this is kind of an indicator for tornadoes because I know a few of you have already commented asking about what kind of tornadoes we can see. And Victoria's asking if they're getting a thunderstorm, or you are getting a thunderstorm in Wilcox County. None of that is severe yet. Okay, guys, it still could develop over the next few hours. That's something we're going to continue to monitor. But whenever it comes to, let's see, let me pull this up for you. Tornadoes, those do not look likely with the way things are shaping up. What you look for in a map like this is going to be a green color like this to mix with the red color that you see above the radar. So you want to see these two colors mixing, and I'm not seeing that anywhere across the area. That indicates to me that it's all straight line wind. Okay, and it's all coming up from the south, which is good. We do not want any rotation. I think we can all agree that we do not want a tornado warning here in the mid-state. All right, so we do have, it looks to be plenty of rain moving through. Ooh, a nice little update for you guys. You guys might be happy to hear this. That tornado watch that we had has expired for Upson, Taylor, and Macon counties, and they did not renew it. So I like that news. That is great news. We are not going to be seeing at least that watch come down for our area anytime soon. I'm happy to hear that. But of course, you know, that does not mean we won't see potential for tornadoes in the mid-state. I just don't think we're necessarily going to be looking at real good chances like they are in southern portions of our state and in portions of Florida right now. Okay, I am trying to get a couple more things pulled up here for you guys. Give me just 1 second. Let me get some of your questions. I see Tersandra's asking about Eatonton. Well, you guys are seeing a good bit of rain right now. None of it's real bad. I think your worst chance for severe weather really won't be until about maybe an hour, hour and a half from now. Krista's saying some thunder in Perry. That's definitely a spot to watch out for. Thompson has kids in Bon Air. They're at work. They should be fine there for now, but you do have thunderstorms getting closer to the Bon Air area. And again, guys, if you're joining me, let me know where you're watching from. I always like to know where you guys are watching from. And again, this is meteorologist Daniel McFarland, of course, with WGXA News. As we're going through this, make sure that you share this with people because we just want to get the word out about how the weather is currently. The only spots that are seeing significant thunderstorms right now is going to be in Macon County and closer towards Pulaski. That's where you're seeing those lightning strikes. All right, Mary's asking about Macon County wind. Nicole's asking about timing. So I do want to talk about that stuff too, because that's all very, very big news out there. Let me check with the National Weather Service real quick. In fact, you know what, guys? I'm going to pull up the timing for you real quick, see if there's any new models that have come out. It does not look like we have any new models out with this, but as you can see, that rain should be moving through the Macon and Warner Robins area within the next half an hour to an hour. Eventually, we will see this storm strengthen as it moves over towards our eastern counties. So McRae, all the way up to Sparta, you guys are looking at a better chance of, say, severe thunderstorms and potential for a couple isolated tornadoes compared to other spots across the mid-state. This afternoon, we really should clear out around 1 o'clock. At that point, I think everyone's going to be just fine. All right, I'm checking in with the National Weather Service. They have a few flood warnings issued. None of it looks like it is in our area. All of it seems to be in northern Georgia right now. So anyone up in northern Georgia, let me know what you've seen so far this morning. I know you've had a ton of rain, right? And that's something that you're going to be expecting basically all the way through the day today. Okay, so heavy rain, big issue right now. I'm seeing a few pockets of that. Seeing one here, thunderstorm over here, this area. In Thomaston right here is also seeing some heavy rain. This one closer towards Noonan. Lots of moderate rainfall for you guys in Macon and Warner Robins. All right, checking back in with your comments. I'm glad you guys are commenting where you're watching from. I see Chris in Jackson. Good morning. Kaylee in Bibb County. Nicole's in Baldwin County. And I'm seeing a couple people, including Tim in Lawrence County. Thank you guys for joining us this morning. Again, what do you guys want to know about? I'm going to leave the radar up here for a second. I'm looking squarely at your comments right now. Let me know what you want to hear about. I went over the timing briefly a minute ago. If you guys want me to do that again, I'm certainly open to doing that. If you want to hear about the impacts, if you want to hear about anything else, I am more than happy to go over anything for you guys. That's why I'm here. I'm going to be having updates all day for you as we get into the rest of the day here. Let's see. I see Kate Smits, thunder lightning near Lizella. Steve says, can I sue the station for causing me undue stress by overreacting every time it rains? Well, Steve, people actually do get nervous in situations like this, and we just want to, make sure that they are feeling comfortable with the situation. I'm not here to fearmonger. In fact, I absolutely despise when I see other meteorologists and other stations doing that. That's the last thing I want is the fearmonger. I just keep an eye on these thunderstorms because even a little bit of light rain could cause hydroplaning and cause an accident. So that's what you need to watch out for, Steve. I also see Latricia is hearing thunder in Macon now. Let's see. I see Katie Stover saying starting to thunder now. So obviously you must be closer. Or if you might have heard that from Macon. New lightning strike in Twiggs County. I bet if you lived in Macon, you probably heard that. It also looks like there was a lightning strike in Macon itself. Let's zoom in on that real quick. Yep, there was. Near Lizella, in between Macon and Lizella, you have that lightning strike. So good ear, whoever heard that. All right, a couple more weaker thunderstorms down south. I'm not seeing any reason why they should become severe thunderstorm warnings. In fact, we just had the National Weather Service say significant weather advisory for Lamar County, Monroe, Taylor, Upson, and Talbot. So that is going to be this area I'm going to circle for you. And I kind of agree with them. I think a lot of strong wind is going to be here. Let me tell you what they're saying about this. Let me click on it real quick. So I got a few things pulled up here. I'm sorry, I went away from your comments for just a moment, but still, if you're just now joining me, I do want to hear about where you're watching from. All right, so the National Weather Service says about the storm that I have circled for you, that significant weather advisory for Lamar, northwestern Monroe, northwestern Taylor, northwestern Marion, Upson, Talbot, and southeastern Pike counties until 10 a.m. The hazard is going to be 40-mile-per-hour wind and heavy rain. That is good news. I do not want to see it say potential for tornado because in that case, they probably would issue a severe thunderstorm warning, and that might even lead to a tornado warning, but does not look like they think it's going to be likely. And guys, that wind is your biggest thing to watch out there. No matter what happens across the area, if we do see lots of lightning, if we see heavy rain, it's going to be wind that affects everyone. So as you can see from this map, basically shows a lot of 30s, lots of 20s right here. I think these could be as high later in the day as about 50 or 60. Okay, I see Katie said she was in Jones County, so yeah, you definitely heard that one that was in Macon. Adrian says lots of accidents on I-75 north. That's something I think one of our reporters is about to go out and see. Susan's asking when the rain will be out of Montezuma. So, when the rain will be out of Montezuma closer to about 11 or so. That's when you guys will be done with that severe weather threat, at least with the heavy rain. I still think you guys can have some lighter showers moving in later in the day. Stephanie's watching from Los Angeles. How's the weather over there, Stephanie? Let's see, Sandra says just raining in Danville right now. I love the name of that town, by the way. Do you know when it will get bad here? So yes, guys, everyone, the severe weather threat is right now up until about 1 o'clock, and that goes for most places. Okay, so let's get off of that wind for a moment. Let's go back to the threats. Okay, so this is an update from the Storm Prediction Center. If you guys remember yesterday, we did have the 3 out of 5 risk. That has now come down a little bit. We are now at a 2 out of 5 for most of us, which is great news. I definitely like the look of that. But we still have a 2 out of 5, which still means, yes, severe weather could happen out there. There's also a good chance that we could see potential for some stronger winds along with heavier rain. Now, isolated tornadoes still can't be ruled out, and that's something we're going to be keeping an eye on as well. Let me jump over to the radar one more time. I want to keep an eye on a few things. Okay, we have a new significant weather advisory for Jackson, Madison. Okay, so that's going to be northern Georgia. All right, getting a new graphic pulled up for you guys. All right, so yeah, a few thunderstorms popping up. Let's check back in on the velocity, because this kind of gives us an idea of where tornadoes have potential to pop up. And it kind of gives us an early warning sign. Not seeing too much. Maybe northern Lamar County, a little bit of rotation right there, but that should be moving out pretty quickly. It's really broad, so that's good news at least. If I go down a little bit, it's kind of hard to see stuff around Macon and Warner Robins with this radar, but if I change radars to the Air Force Base, it gives us a little bit better idea. Strong wind down towards the south, guys, so this wind is definitely the big thing to watch out there. All right, wind gusts still around 25, not so bad for us, but let's see if I can edit something on the fly. I want to kind of go through what you can expect all day with these winds. Okay, because they're going to be getting a lot worse as this line gets closer and closer towards your area. Let me go ahead and see if this will work. I think it should. So if I I'm resetting the time here to 11 a.m. to give us an idea of what the winds could be like. Yeah, you're seeing a lot of 40s, 50s, upper 30s there. This is when the wind will be strongest for us. Let's see if I put up noon. You guys can't see that I'm changing the times, but I am right here. So if you're a little bit confused about what's going on your screen, don't worry. I'm getting it all fixed up. So yes, this is what the front's going to look like around noon. A lot of that heavier wind will be gone from places like Thomaston and Butler, but moving into spots like Dublin, Cochrane, and Soperton. Let me get that pulled up for you guys real quick. That's the rain totals. I'll get to that in a second. So yeah, really bad wind possible later today. And again, guys, you could potentially see this area in purple where greater than 55 mile an hour winds are possible over here. Okay, so that can happen in that spot earlier in the day. Okay, not so much in the early afternoon. That's going to be more so in east of I-75 issue at that point. All right, I'm going to pull the radar back up for you. We have a flash flood warning. That's going to be for northern Georgia. Includes DeKalb County. Let's see, got some good comments coming in. Megan says, storm feeling cute, might flood middle of Georgia later. That's pretty funny. Yeah, it's basically how it's turning out right now. I don't think we're going to see floodings, but we'll definitely see impacts there for sure. Victoria's asking, the wind is getting really bad here in Wilcox. It's howling. Yeah, I definitely bet the worst of that wind is moving through Wilcox County right now. You can also see a lot of heavy rain moving through Wilcox as well. Kim says, go away, storm. No one likes you. I agree with Kim. Let's wait for that to go away. Keith is asking when the rain will be out of Byron. So I think that rain will be out of Byron really whenever we get into about 1 o'clock. Okay, that's really when a lot of that's going to be moving on out. All right, as far as lightning is concerned, has anyone else heard any by their house? Because I've heard a few people mention that. But it looks like the only spot seeing lightning right now is going to be around Pulaski County, Bleckley County. That's a little bit of a thunderstorm right there. Macon County too, and further up north of Thomaston is where the area of concern. This is where they have a significant weather advisory issued. That's not a severe thunderstorm warning. It's potential for one, and strong winds are the biggest threat there. But that's moving up towards the north, closer towards Butts County. Let's see. Okay, looking pretty good towards our south. They expired that tornado warning along the border. As long as that stays weak, that's what we want, because this area you're looking at down here will be moving up towards middle Georgia. Okay, so those couple thunderstorms you see do have a chance to make it here by the end of the day. Not really looking at too much here in the mid-state. Again, guys, really the main threat here is going to be wind over everything else. Let's talk about this now, because Everyone likes to talk about tornadoes, but they rarely happen. And when they do happen, they happen in a very small area. But obviously, they're very destructive. It's the damaging wind that is the bigger thing to watch out for today. A lot of us could see these wind gusts upwards of 50 to 60 miles per hour, which is not any fun at all. And the heavy rain is something else that's also going to be very underrated for today. I'll show you the rain totals in just a second, but let me show you how much more rain we're expecting. It looks like Macon could see at least a full inch of rain. Same thing with most of you. I know a lot of you guys are watching in this area in purple. They have about another 1 to 2 inches expected out there. Now, I don't think that's enough to cause a flash flood warning here, but it is something to note for smaller isolated areas that might see some flash flooding out there. Now, back over to the radar, I can pull up the estimated rain totals so far. If it wants to come up. Okay, where's my rain totals? Right here. This is going to be over the past about 5 or 6 hours. It'll take a second to load. Okay, so this clearly hasn't updated okay, there it goes a little bit. So we're starting to see some values coming into places like Americus, Montezuma, Cordele, starting to see some blues and also some greens. That indicates that you're close to a full inch of rain. But look at this, guys, just up towards our north. That front really stalled earlier this morning. We were supposed to see the rain earlier, but over 2 to 3 inches of rain in the spot I circled right here, just north of our area. Anyone driving along I-75 towards Atlanta probably saw a ton of rain moving in there. All right, back to the radar real quick for you guys. Going back into your comments. Let's see, I see. How about tomorrow? I see a question about that. Yes, the storms will be over tomorrow. I'll get into that in a second as well. Haley says a lot of thunder for about 3 minutes before it calmed down. Now it's just rain. That's good, Haley. Shakita's asking when it will be out of gray. I think gray will be done with the storms whenever we really get into the ending part of the day. You guys will be done closer to the end of the morning. All right, guys, if you're joining us, go ahead and make sure you share the page. Also, make sure to like, comment, all that kind of fun stuff. It always lets us know. If you see my page linked above, go ahead and check that out. I'm going to be posting stuff all day on the Daniel McFarland page, so make sure you check that one out as well. Now, we also have an app, the WGXA weather app, that'll send out the alerts to you. We send it out through our news app also, but the weather app sends out those alerts a little bit quicker. So if you want to check that out, that would also help us out too. Okay, so again, checking back in at the big picture here, guys. Still tons of lightning. A lot of it's starting to make its way through middle Georgia right now. We're not necessarily looking at severe weather at the moment, but there are signs here that we could see a couple stronger storms coming on up. This yellow area that you see just down towards our south, including Albany and Tallahassee, this is going to be a tornado watch that's in effect. We do not have that in middle Georgia. We did earlier. We don't now. That's good news. I hope we don't see another tornado watch come in. But I think we're doing really well this morning so far compared to what the models were showing yesterday. Up towards the north, you're already having a couple more tornado warnings around Raleigh and Greensboro and Martinsville. Those are going to be moving up there. In fact, guys, let me go ahead and show you the severe weather threat, because it's kind of calmed down a little bit here in middle Georgia. Again, still 2 out of 5. That's nothing to go to sleep on. That's still a high threat of severe weather and enough for us to issue that weather warn day that we would have regardless. Strong wind is our biggest threat over everything. Further up towards our north, into places like North Carolina and Virginia, very good chance of severe weather. You can see that is a moderate risk. We rarely ever see 4s issued. They come up once every few months. That includes Raleigh, Charleston, and portions of Myrtle Beach as well. So anyone up there, they have a much better chance of severe weather due to the timing. Okay, our timing is mostly during the morning, which is why we do not have as big a chance of severe weather as other places do. Now, we still do have that chance of severe weather. It's just not as high as other spots. Good, latest model just came out, has this thing speeding up a little bit, getting out of here by about lunchtime or 1 p.m., kind of breaking up the severe threat. Although we still could see maybe 1 or 2 stronger cells popping on up, I definitely like the trend here. All right, we have a new significant weather advisory. This is going to be for Houston County. So you guys in Houston County, listen up. Houston, Wilcox, Southern Bleckley, and Western Dodge counties and Pulaski counties. That is going to be until 10:15. So this area for you right here, you guys have a significant weather advisory. Now, like I mentioned before, that is not a severe thunderstorm warning. It's just a note that you need to keep in the back of your head. Main threat is going to be 40-mile-per-hour winds and potential for some heavy rain. So that's what you're looking at. So that's your threat. No threat of tornado, or at least no signs of one coming into that area. But of course, we're going to be monitoring that throughout the morning hours before we finally begin to clear up later on. All right, further down towards our south, still looking at plenty of severe thunderstorm warnings approaching spots like Gainesville and Lake City. They have more concern of severe weather than I think we do today. Let me leave this on the radar for just a moment, guys. Check back in with your questions. And if you're just joining us, I do like to hear about where you guys are watching from. Just let me know, and I am always happy to point it out. Adrian says starting to pick up in Bon Air. Thunder's rolling. Angel's asking about Eatonton. As you can see on the radar, you are looking at some moderate rainfall out there, not too heavy just yet. All right, let's see what else I want to point out. Let's see. Yeah, we got that one significant weather advisory I think is about to wrap up here in about 11 minutes. That's going to be that one north of Thomaston. I hear some heavy rain. I'm in downtown Macon, guys, in WGXA Studios in downtown Macon, and we're hearing some heavy rain right now. Okay, I'm seeing a pretty strong thunderstorm in Peach County, too. I wouldn't be surprised if this area right here does turn into a significant weather advisory at least. Let me check back in with velocity, guys. Always good to keep an eye on the potential for tornadoes. Again, we haven't seen it so far this morning, but it's something to watch. I like another radar better than this one. All right. Okay, yeah, a lot of strong wind. So these brighter colors you see down around spots like Unadilla, Cordele, this spot right around here, this is where you see the strongest winds at the moment. So if anyone's around that spot, definitely keep in mind that the strong winds is going to be affecting you. Further up towards the north, no indication of any kind of rotation. I like that, but again, guys, the main threat today is not going to be tornadoes. It is definitely the strong wind over everything else. All right, let me get back over to the radar for just a couple minutes. In just about a minute or so, I'm going to take a quick 5-minute break, go out and check with people in the newsroom, give them a quick update, but I need to come back in here real quick and fill you guys in on what's going on. So, yeah, just looking at a couple thunderstorms out there, mainly south of Cochrane, south of Eastman, a couple severe, significant weather advisories. Give me just a second, guys, getting a couple things set up. Anyone have any big questions they want to ask me? I'm happy to answer those. I know I saw a couple questions about Jones County and also one in Peach County. A lot of heavy rain slowly going to be moving on up. I want to kind of go through what we've seen so far with this. Let me kind of roll this forward a little bit, roll it back. So you can kind of see this moving almost north-northeast. So that kind of tells you that heavier thunderstorm that's in this spot right here is moving towards Macon. I don't necessarily think we're looking at potential for tornado there, but I think at worst we'll probably see a severe thunderstorm warning come down with that. All right, guys, I'm going to jump off here for just a few minutes. I will be back just before 10 a.m. to give you another update on what's going on. If you are just now joining us, please let me know where you're watching from. I'm going to be leaving the radar up for you so you guys can keep an eye on it for just a moment, and I will be right back. All right, guys, meteorologist Dana McFarland back with you again to kind of fill you in on what we're looking at. I see Jessica watching in Gray. I see Louise watching in Centerville. Shirley is in Cochrane. And I see Gail in Bolingbrook. So welcome everyone who's just now joining us again. Meteorologist Daniel McFarland here, keeping you updated with what we're looking at with this system. Now, I don't see any huge indications here of rotation, like I mentioned before. Tornado threat is low but not absent, and it will be increasing as we get into the later part of the morning. Let's see here. Sorry guys, new word from the National Weather Service. They're talking about flood warnings. That's going to be for northern Georgia though. Let me pull that up for you so you can kind of get an idea of that. Let me see if I have a graphic here for you. Yeah, this one right here probably should do. Ignore the banner. Yeah, that's all severe thunderstorm watches up towards the north. It's not dense fog advisory, guys. I just didn't update this graphic. Let me go ahead and edit. So again, I'm just fixing a couple things here just to kind of give you an idea. I see Emily in Gray, Jessica in Byron, Caesar in Warner Robins, and Crystal in Wrightsville. Good morning, everyone. So we do not have the flash flood watch in effect. I'm just pulling this up to show you what we're looking at here. As far as watches and warnings go, let me go ahead and add a couple more things so we can look at flood warnings. All right, so yeah, they're all sticking towards northern Georgia, guys. Not so much here in the mid-state, but it is something to keep an eye on as we get into the rest of the day. All right, biggest spot of concern for me is now starting to move south of I-16. So who here is staying in either Twiggs County, Pulaski, Bleckley, or Wilcox? This area right here is the most amount of lightning, the heaviest rain. I definitely could see a few of us getting potentially some stronger winds out of that line as well. Thank you for sharing, Lisa. Happy to hear that. See Ketis and Wilcox. Let's see, guys, just getting a couple extra things up here. Hang on just one moment. Okay, so, all right, so we have a new flood warning. That's for Bibb County, Twiggs, Houston, and Jones County. Okay, we also have, I believe, yeah, so that flood warning is what we're looking at here for Spalding County as well. Okay, yeah, I'm seeing more significant weather advisories as well. So yeah, guys, sorry, it's just checking in with the National Weather Service here. See what's going on. It's all because of heavy rain, which is why we're seeing these flood warnings. Okay, so here's something that we could talk about. Significant weather advisory for Butts, Lamar, Monroe, Jasper, Spalding, Newton, and Henry County. So that tells you it's moving out. Still keeping an eye on this system though. Let's see. All right, so we also have flood warning, like I mentioned before, for Macon and Warner Robins. That's because of the heavy rain moving through. Okay, we're starting to see some places clearing up as well, which is what I like to see. So further back here, these spots are going to be completely done with the bad weather. All their chances are over. So if you were in a spot, I would say, that's probably a bad line. I would say if you're in Upson or in Taylor County, your severe weather chances are just about over. For everyone else over towards the east of that line, we are going to see more of this rain moving on in. And the chances will get worse throughout the whole morning. So again, this is the severe threat level we have out there. I think many of us are into the 2. You can basically see the line I drew right there. So the spot that has the marginal chance, or just the 1 out of 5, you guys, your chances of severe weather are just about done. Now, Macon and Warner Robins, it is here right now, so that's something we are watching this morning. It's like Wrightsville and Vidalia and portions of western Lawrence County, also places to watch because they have the most amount, or I should say the greatest chance of severe weather out there. Lisa says, just getting heavy at the moment, hearing thundering in the distance in Jeffersonville. So yeah, the thunder is certainly there in Jeffersonville, or just outside, I should say. But I don't necessarily think that you're going to have a ton of, widespread severe weather with this system here. I just think it's mainly going to be that heavy rain hanging in there. All right, guys. Again, I'm going to get back over to the radar. This is always what we want to watch. Latest thing was that significant weather advisory I talked about before. Doesn't indicate any threat of a tornado, and I don't see any reason to believe that it does. Let me tell you the good news here. So what we had, and the reason why our tornado threat's a tad bit lower, is because you have this main line of storms, right? Let's say the line is right here. But at the same time, you have all this rain out in front. Now what that does is it helps cools us off and drops down instability. Instability is what you need to have these stronger storms develop. And another thing you need is something called convective available potential energy, or something I like to call storm fuel. Now with this, you can see that we are getting very, very little fuel during the morning, but around 11, 12, you can see a lot of yellow closer towards Dublin, Wrightsville, Sandersville, and plenty of orange further on over towards the west. So that gives me concern for those spots to have severe weather. You could see a quick pop up here closer towards 2 o'clock in Wrightsville and Dublin with that orange, but that severe weather threat is mainly sticking towards the coast. You're going to see a lot of orange really sticking over there, and they have the best chance of severe weather for later on. All right, guys, back to our main threat today, which is the wind. You can see 60-mile-per-hour wind gust potential. That's not just for Soperton. That can be anywhere. Macon, Warner Robins, Perry, Cordele, anywhere. You can see that potential for 60-mile-an-hour wind gust. That's just going to be in the strongest storms. All right, back to the timing for you. I think many of us will be done with the worst of the rain within about the next hour and a half or so, but there will be some stragglers later this afternoon that we need to keep an eye on. As you can see right here, a lot of that's starting to strengthen as it moves over towards the east, which is where it typically goes whenever it gets a little bit worse, especially in situations like this where you have sunrise. All right, I see Hope watching in Wilkinson County. Good morning. Sierra and Robert are asking about Cochran. So let's go ahead and talk about Cochran. And anyone else who wants to hear about their area, please let me know. I'm happy to talk about that too. And just a side note, if you guys could share this on your Facebook pages, that would help us out a lot. And also give us a like. Check out the page tagged above, the Daniel McFarland page. I'm going to be posting updates there all day about what we're looking at here. But one thing I can tell you about this rain, especially for Cochran, because I saw that question, I think the worst of it is moving through right now and will be headed on out within about the next hour and a half. So one thing we're looking at around Cochran is definitely going to be a ton of lightning. So I'm sure you've already heard that if you're around that spot. Same thing with Jeffersonville. You're seeing a good bit of that really towards the north. This is one spot that I believe is underneath. Yeah, they have that significant weather advisory. That's kind of fizzled out a little bit, and we're still not looking at any good chance of a tornado, at least as of right now, with any of these storms. And I definitely like to look at that. A lot more of those severe thunderstorms really sticking down towards our south. I'm looking at spots like maybe Gainesville and Lake City to have the worst weather later today. All right, what are you guys thinking? I want to hear about what more you want to know about. Do you want to hear about heavy rain, the winds again, timing? I can talk about any of that stuff. So again, guys, radar, mostly just moderate rainfall. We get into the last part of the day. That's all we're going to be looking at there. I'm going to go over to your comments one more time to kind of see what you guys are thinking early. Okay. We have questions about South Macon, Milledgeville, Haddock, trees down on Daisy Adams Road in Cochran, Georgia. Harley, if you can do me a favor and send a picture to the inbox of WGXA News on this page, we can definitely take a look at that and send someone out there. But yeah, make sure just to send us a picture of the damage, and we'll get one of our reporters or someone out there to take a look at it. Sandra says, satellite is out. Thankfully, I can follow on Facebook. That's the whole point, right? So you guys can follow along here on Facebook. I see Maryland and McRae. Good morning to all you guys that are just now joining us. Okay, and guys, if you are just now joining us, please make sure to let me know where you're watching from. It's always a big help. I know where to focus on. You saw me looking at Cochran earlier. Maryland, I'm going to talk about McRae and Telfair County. Because looks like that spot is seeing a thunderstorm moving through, but the strongest storm is going to be in southern Twiggs County. So closer towards McRae, you do have that small thunderstorm that's headed your way. But further up towards the north, we actually have a much stronger thunderstorm headed towards Danville. So I know a couple people earlier said they were there. A couple people who lived in McIntyre could see this moving in as well. Let's see. The significant weather advisory is going to be until 10:30, and that's going to include this area right here. All right, so we have a new flash flood warning. This is going to include Butts, Henry, Newton, Oconee, Spalding, and Walton until 4 o'clock. So that does include Butts County. So you guys watching up there, just a brand new flash flood warning came down just seconds ago. Okay, so we have a new discussion out from the Storm Prediction Center. They said the severe threat is expected to increase in lee of the Appalachians through the late morning. Tornado watches will be issued soon to address this threat. So that's something we could see coming down, especially for those of you guys that live closer towards spots like, I'll circle it for you. So the spot that they're looking at least in middle Georgia, is going to be here. So as the system develops and moves north, it looks like they're probably going to issue a tornado warning really soon. So you guys are the first to hear about this. That's also going to include parts of the panhandle of Florida and into the peninsula as well. Okay, so give me just 1 second. I need to go make sure that some people in the newsroom are aware that that's probably coming down here in the next minute or so. I won't be gone as long as I was before, so give me just 1 minute. I will be right back. Until then, I'm going to leave the radar looping so you guys can see what's happening here, and I will be right back to you guys. All right, guys, I am back. I'm going to give you a deeper look at what we have going on right now. Let me go ahead and get in front of the wall for you so we got this pulled up. You can see what we're going on. I can kind of point this out a little bit better. So what we're looking at here is going to be a ton of rain. I'm mainly looking at it to stay south of places like Twiggs County. You're seeing it down in Cochrane, Eastman. This spot down here is looking at the worst of the weather moving on through. So if we get closer to that, I do need to put it in play real quick. So stick with me for just a second and I can be able to give you guys a closer look here. Let me take a quick look at your comments while I'm coming back over here before I get back in front of the wall. So Adrian's asking for any chance of tornadoes in Houston County. Those cannot be ruled out until the storm passes you. And I kind of want to point out where some areas might be done for today. Okay, so it's a little bit easier to point this way, so let's go ahead and talk about it this way. All right, guys, so the worst of that line is starting to move through Twiggs down into Cochrane, Eastman, and down into McRae right now. A lot of us are going to see this heavy rain really persisting all the way into the early afternoon. That severe weather threat might be ending for a few of us, but that heavy rain threat is still going to be there later on. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at this system right here, because this is really where the spot of most concern is for me. Closer towards Cochrane, lots of heavy rain, plenty of lightning, and that wind is something really big to watch out for. Many of us are likely to see wind gusts here close to about 50 to 60 miles per hour. And if I go back for you, you are going to see that a few of us are likely to see much stronger winds pushing in as well. So if I zoom out, you can see that many of us are still seeing plenty of those severe weather warnings down towards our south. In fact, let me zoom in down there for a second for you guys so you can kind of see what's going on. All right, Telfair County. Let's talk about that, because in these little squares over here, these orange or yellowish boxes, that is where the worst of the weather is currently. That's where they're seeing a few severe thunderstorm warnings right now. That's really hugging up right against Telfair County, and I think a few of those storms could be pushing through. Even for you guys in Abbeville, you're going to see this system moving closer and closer as well. So you see closer towards Sylvester right here, that's going to be a very, very nice core that could produce things like hail, potential for some heavy rain, and of course lightning is something that we're seeing with this. And that's going to be moving straight towards Wilcox County. So if we do get a severe thunderstorm warning with the system, that's the area I'm looking for. Places like Abbeville, Cordele, likely to see the strongest of the storm as we get into the rest of the time. Okay, so pretty good chance that we see the severe weather ending after that front passes us by. That's still hanging back in Alabama. I know it's a long way away, but we are looking at the squall line passing us by right now, and that's where the severe weather really comes from in situations like this. You see that squall line moving through, producing plenty of lightning out there, and you're seeing most of that, fortunately for Middle Georgia, closer towards the Panhandle, of course the Big Bend area, seeing a lot more of that as well. All right, closer up towards the north, anyone going around Atlanta, they've really cleared up. Their severe weather chances are almost over for this morning, but not entirely zero. Severe threat level still a 2 out of 5 for many of us here in the mid-state, and that's going to be the case all the way through the end of the morning hours here. Now, further over towards the east, you're seeing plenty of the area over here having an enhanced chance of that severe weather to push on through. Now, one thing I do want to point out to you guys, even further towards the east, and in fact up towards the northeast, you're seeing a 4 out of 5 on the severe threat level. They rarely issue those. In fact, it's almost unheard of, but it is that time of year to see maybe 1 or 2 of these popping on up. And I do think that that heavy rain could turn into something like some rotating storms, along with winds up to 70 miles per hour for that area. So we're kind of fortunate in that regard that we're getting it in the time. As long as we get this rain out of here by the afternoon, I think many of us are going to avoid the worst of these storms. Okay, so wind is our main threat here. A lot of us are going to be seeing that wind all across Middle Georgia. Doesn't matter what kind of threat I was talking about a second ago for you. These winds could be upwards of 50 to 60 miles per hour, which can be categorized as damaging wind at that point. So if we take a closer look at the wind, many of us are going to see these wind gusts upwards of 20 to about 50 miles per hour on average, with a few spots potentially reaching that 60-degree mark. And you see that in a spot like Soperton for later on today. Like I pointed out, though, this is just a snapshot of a point in time. That line will be passing them by and eventually moving over towards the west. Now, for those of you guys over towards spots like Macon and Warner Robins, that wind will be moving through at the moment. Eventually, though, we will be seeing this rain at least the heaviest part of it, moving out here within the next about hour to hour and a half. Hopefully it can pick up a little bit of speed. I know this system has been slow moving. It's kind of gotten on everyone's nerves today, but as you can see right here, tons and tons of rain is going to be expected with this system, which is why we have that flood warning in effect. Now, potential rain, this is something plenty of people sleep on in situations like this, because usually they like to think of things like hail, tornadoes, strong thunderstorms, but the rain totals is something to keep an eye on. And this is why we already have a couple flood warnings that have been issued across the mid-state. I'm looking at maybe a full inch of rain that's still left to be had in places like Macon and Warner Robins. Now, that could cause a flash flood warning. We saw a couple of those yesterday as the system moved across Mississippi. I know I talked to a friend of mine in Hattiesburg. He sent me a really good picture where there was a lot of flooding on his streets, and this is from the exact same system. In fact, it's in about the exact same part of the system that is moving through our area right now. Now, over the next 10 days, I do want to promise you guys things are getting much better. Easter Sunday looking pretty nice. High temperature of 76, starting off in the lower 40s. So you're looking at very excellent conditions during that time, and same thing with plenty of sunshine all the way through about next Thursday. And even during that time, we are going to have some smaller rain chances, maybe moving in on Friday, but I do think that the severe weather chance is going to be hanging off until at least next weekend. So today is your big day to watch out for. So guys, that's going to be a big thing we're tracking for the day today. I want to get back over to the radar to kind of fill you in on that. Let me see. I was seeing questions from Elizabeth. Any power losses around Middle Georgia yet? Haven't heard of any. I don't think that we've seen any just yet, but that's definitely something to watch out for, that potential for power outages out there. All right, checking back in with National Weather Service. We are looking all good so far. No new warnings from them. That's what we like to see. Pulling the radar back up for just a second for you. Tiffany said, what about those tornado warnings before I stepped out? So there wasn't any tornado warnings across the area. Where you did see, are you talking about, let's see. There was some down in Florida, if that's what you're talking about, Tiffany. We did see some there. All right, we got a new alert from the National Weather Service, guys, interrupting myself. Significant weather advisory for western Wheeler, Telfair, southern Lawrence, Bleckley, Dodge, and Pulaski counties. That's going to be until 10:45. So we really haven't seen any true warnings from this system. We've mainly just seen significant weather advisories. And that is good news, because this time yesterday, we were looking at some great chances of severe weather out there. But this spot you see right here, still an area of concern, very strong winds, potential winds there of 50 to 60 miles per hour. So that's the biggest thing to watch out for. Let's see what else we got here. What time will that storm hit Wilcox County from Albany? That's a good question, because I did talk that there's potential for that to be a severe thunderstorm. Let me go down to that for you. All right, so if we kind of measure this out, it has about 30 more miles to go to get to Wilcox County. So that's not very far. And if we kind of measure how quickly the system's moving, let me move it back about half an hour. Let's see what time is it now, 10:19. Let's go back to 9:49 and kind of measure that. Okay, so pretty close. I would say probably less than 30 minutes it should be there. And then that's when that system that could produce a severe thunderstorm warning will move into Wilcox County. And I definitely think that we'll continue that with the way it's looking right now. It does look like a pretty nice little cell that's beginning to develop just down towards our south. Lots of lightning. You're seeing lots of heavy rain. Let me check on the hail cores. I haven't looked at that yet today, and I'm surprised no one's asked about that, because that's usually something we do see a good bit of. All right, this will load up in just a second. So there is a small hail core here. You're seeing purple. Okay, now purple tells me not a lot of hail is reaching the ground, because if you look up here towards the top, about 1/4 of an inch of hail is being measured by the radar, which tells me that it's melting on the way down and it's not really reaching the ground. So it does have potential for hail this storm. Okay, so that's what we're looking at there. Let me go ahead and roll through everything one more time for you guys. The way things are starting off, our biggest threat is wind over everything else. And I've been talking a lot about that over the past few hours, really. I talked about that yesterday, and of course, for the past few days, it's really been that wind. And so that area that is seeing all that weather going on right now in between spots like Wilkinson County all the way down towards Dodge County, this is really where the worst of it is, and that's where the strongest wind is to start off today too. Now, I think these wind gusts here could be upwards of about 50 to 60 miles per hour, and we're seeing a very similar line trying to develop around the Monticello Forsyth area, and that's something else we're looking at there as well. All right, again, I want to look at the hail closer towards this area because I didn't really look at that too much north of the spot I was pointing out before. We haven't seen a lot of it. We haven't had any good reports. And at the moment, at least, none of these storms are producing any hail at all. So that is good news. All right, so the wider view is still showing lots of heavy rain making its way through Macon, Warner Robins, that kind of area there. We do have that tornado watch in effect down towards our south. So not really a whole lot happening here locally with the watches and warnings, but just down towards our south, we've seen a ton of severe thunderstorm warnings. They have a tornado watch. They've seen a couple tornado warnings as well. So we're pretty fortunate so far today. But that does not mean we aren't going to be seeing any. In fact, we're still underneath that threat of severe weather for later on. 2 out of 5 actually here in the mid-state, especially for those of you guys in Macon and Warner Robins. Now, further on over towards the east, this is where the better chance of severe weather is going to be. And the reason why is because whenever you have a system moving through an area and you also have a lot more sunlight coming out and warmer temperatures that's usually brought on by the afternoon, that is when the worst of the weather could come out. So by the time this reaches a spot like Charleston or Myrtle Beach, this is where the best chance of severe weather will be for later on today. So overall, what this tells you is that it's strengthening as it's moving further on over towards the east. So even though we're not seeing too much happening here right now, as we move on throughout the rest of the morning, plenty of that is going to be causing some chances of severe weather out there. All right, so impacts, still the biggest thing for us is going to be that wind. Potential wind gusts here of 50 to 60 miles per hour. Tornado threat is low, but it's not zero. We've seen a couple of those further down towards our south, and even a couple north of Atlanta earlier this morning. And heavy rain is something else I want to talk about in just a minute as well. Now that hail, that is something we haven't seen too much of, and I think that's going to begin to pick on up here now that we're starting to see a little bit more unstable storms as this system moves closer and closer towards the coastline. All right, so let's start with the wind, because like I mentioned before, this is the biggest thing to watch for everyone, not just 1 or 2 spots, for everyone. You're going to see wind gusts here potentially between 50 and 60, probably somewhere on average after this passes you, you're still going to be looking at wind gusts around 30 miles per hour. This nice little line you see right here where you kind of see wind coming from the west and you're also seeing it coming up from the south on that side, you are seeing that's where the front is projected to be at least around noon, which is what I set this time to. Now, if we look over towards the west, still plenty of wind back here. So that west wind could still cause wind gusts of 30 to even 35 miles per hour later on this afternoon when our severe weather chances have wrapped up at that point. All right, back to the timing. Still, I think around 11 o'clock is when most of us will begin to see the worst of it starting to move into places like Milledgeville, Sandersville, Wrightsville, and Dublin. There might be the second line hanging back here that might be developing that could bring spots like Macon and Warner Robins a stronger storm. And for the afternoon, maybe 1 or 2 pop-up stronger thunderstorms are possible, but for the most part, I think we're done with severe weather by that point in time. All right, as far as potential rain, we are going to be looking at tons of it. So we've already seen a few flash flood warnings out there, and I do think that a lot of us today are going to have a lot of rain in a very short amount of time, and that's where the flash flood warnings come from. If the National Weather Service sees enough potential there for us to have as much as a full inch of rain within about an hour or two, they typically do issue that flash flood warning. I can easily see that happening for some of our eastern counties over here, definitely. If not around Macon and Warner Robins, which is where they've actually already issued one. All right, here's going to be your 10-day forecast. I want to go through this with you real quick, and then we'll get back over to that severe weather. You can see Saturday, looking at tons of clouds, not really looking at rain chances there, no good chance of severe weather. Easter Sunday, it's going to be an excellent day. If you guys are trying to make plans that morning, I still would bring a jacket if you're going to church earlier in the day, mainly because you're going to see a little around 43 degrees. I know there's quite a few masses that start as early as, say, 7 or even 8 o'clock. Those are the ones you need a jacket for. If you're going to be going around lunchtime, around the 11 or 12 o'clock service, I think you're probably fine leaving that jacket at home. A lot of you are going to see plenty of sunshine through about Thursday before we finally see another round of rain moving in on Saturday and Sunday. Now, on those days, I do think we are going to be looking at a small chance of severe weather, but nothing like what we had last week or what we're seeing today. All right, I'm going to jump back over to the radar for just a second, and then I'm going to take about a 5-minute break just to check in with people in the newsroom about what's going on in there. Just to give you a quick update, we're not getting any more info from the National Weather Service about any more big advisories, so that's certainly good news. And the worst of that weather looks like it is still moving through parts of Wilkinson County and also through Cochrane and Eastman. So Dublin, it's coming for you. It'll be there rather shortly. And it looks like that's the spot of most concern, at least for right now. Okay, so before I let you go, we just had a storm report from the National Weather Service. This is in McDonough, so it's out of our area, but close enough. They reported a flash flood that occurred at 10:13. The Highway 81 was flooded and closed in front of the Henry County Library. So if you're around there or know anyone around there, that is where you're looking at that flash flood potential. Okay, so before I let you go, we actually have a significant weather advisory that's been issued for Putnam. You're seeing Monroe counties, Bibb County, Jones, Jasper, and Newton counties. That's going to be until 11. That's going to be this spot further up towards the north. So let's see what the National Weather Service has to say about this one. Okay, hazards, main hazard up here. Let me circle this area for you, those of you guys that are not familiar. This spot right here, I'm mainly looking at that line getting closer towards Monticello too. Hazards up to 40-mile-per-hour wind, frequent lightning, and heavy rain. So also, guys, that wind, as I've really beaten into the ground here, that wind is the biggest thing to watch out for. That's what causes more damage than anything else. I'm going to be jumping back on here in just a minute to check back in on that. For right now, I'm going to go ahead and loop this, let you guys go for just a minute or so, and I will be right back. All right, guys, I am back. We have a new severe thunderstorm warning out there. This includes Dublin. So for those of you guys out in Dublin, you are looking at a severe thunderstorm warning at the moment. Now, let's go ahead and pause this and break this down for you in a bit more detail. Let me go ahead and put this in play real quick. Severe thunderstorm warning is going to be for Bleckley, Dodge, Johnson, Lawrence, and Wilkinson. This will be lasting until 11 a.m. Okay, so let me zoom in on this, and I'm going to get over to the wall so you guys can see me just a tad bit better. So we have a new severe thunderstorm warning. This one does include Dublin. You're seeing lots of lightning, lots of heavy rain, potential for hail as well, and I'll touch on that in just a second. But the way things are starting off with this is that it's moving up towards the northeast pretty quickly. Now, it will be in Dublin here rather shortly. Whenever it does get there, you are going to see this thing begin to strengthen just a tad bit more. Now, I wouldn't be surprised to see this area become included with that severe thunderstorm warning because there's a bit more lightning and a bit more heavy rain. Whenever the National Weather Service does issue these, they typically try to expand them later on. So Montrose, Dudley, Dexter, that's where the worst of this is at the moment. I'm looking at it probably closer towards Dublin soon, but this red area, that indicates heavy rain, and you're really seeing a lot of that in this spot right here for the severe thunderstorm warning. Believe it or not, this is our first severe thunderstorm warning of the morning, and this is something that we're going to be seeing probably a couple more of over the next few hours before we eventually do see more clear conditions coming in later on today. All right, so if we go ahead and take a wider look, once again, there's a few other spots of concern out there that might turn into something very similar. Further up towards the north, this line right here, that is also going to include things like strong wind, and the reason I say that is because whenever you have a straight line like that, that does tell you that the wind is pushing all that heavy rain together. That's something you're going to see closer towards Jasper, Putnam, and Jones County. And then for you guys down here towards Dublin, this is going to be where the severe thunderstorm warning is, and that's likely to be extended towards places like in Wilkinson County. Also, you just see another one just popped up a second ago. This is a pretty big one that includes Alma. That one's going to be out of our area, but this one's significantly stronger down here towards the south. So it looks like the worst of it sticking further down towards our south, guys, but this is going to be our first severe thunderstorm warning of the morning. We're going to be tracking this for you throughout the rest of the day. Now, let's look at the hail, because that's something we want to look at too. If I zoom in just a bit here for you, give me just 1 second, guys, trying to get this to work. Looks like it's not working for me. Okay, well, either way, I'll get back into that in just a second. Let me pan over here. Try this one more time before I just go manually do it. Okay, there we go. Sometimes that the magic track, it's called, gets a little bit finicky out there, and you saw that right there. But let's go ahead and look at the hail. They also said that this one has potential for some rotation associated with it as well. So I'll make sure to touch on that velocity in just a moment. Not too much of a hail core with this, but I do think that could potentially get just a tad bit worse out there. Okay, so I do want to talk about the velocity with it real quick, because that's very important. I back up, there we go. Click on this, and I'm going to be zooming back into there. And what I'm looking at here is going to be potential for tornado being possible. Now, that does not mean we're going to be seeing one. That just means that it's possible in there. Let me read you what the National Weather Service said about this warning. Okay. Text. All right, well, that's getting loaded up. I'm going to pull up a different radar for you, one a little bit closer. There's a radar in Robins Air Force Base. Okay, so you are looking at a little bit of rotation there. It's very broad. The reason they didn't do a tornado warning is because this mainly looks like a straight line event. So if I draw a circle around the potential rotation, it is very, very broad. So that's good news as far as, lack of tornadoes, but very bad news when it comes to strong wind, which is going to be our biggest issue for the day today. All right, so National Weather Service says the biggest hazard here is going to be 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and penny-sized hail. You could see damages to roofs, sidings, trees. It says the hail could be close to about 3/4 of an inch, which would make it penny-sized hail. But overall, I just think that, guys, the biggest thing here is that wind over everything else. Even though it says tornado possible, I don't think that's the main hazard here to watch for. It's definitely those 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts that are moving through. All right, give you a wider view one more time. seeing a lot of lightning around this too. So frequent lightning is another issue that has popped up here and there. And this is something that we are going to be tracking all day for the next system that passes us by, because this lightning is going to pick up. Now that the sun is out, we could see some of these storms get just a little bit stronger out there. Okay, so zooming in on this warning, once again, guys, a lot more lightning popping up with the system. You did have a good bit of rain out in front. I'll explain why that's important in just a second. So you can see right here that if you look, I know it's hard to see, guys, but I'll outline this for you. So follow my hand. This is where the warning is. It's right up and through here. Approaching Wrightsville, does not include Wrightsville, does include Dublin, and the main spot of concern is this red area where there's plenty of lightning, plenty of heavy rain, and potential for hail out there. Now, you saw just a minute ago, the hail cores did show a little bit of hail trying to develop, but it's just not big enough yet to reach the ground. So if anyone is in the Dublin area or anywhere in Lawrence County, let me know if you see some hail out there. Make sure to take pictures too, because we always enjoy those in situations like this to give us an idea of what you guys saw out there. So again, lots of this is really sticking towards the northern part of that outline. I know it's very tough to see because the colors kind of mesh together, but what you're going to have here is lots of lightning, plenty of heavy rain, and it does say tornado possible, but again, it's very broad rotation. That's why they went with the severe thunderstorm warning instead of that tornado warning out there. Okay, so as this continues to move closer towards Wrightsville or Sandersville, that could begin to change just a little bit. So the trajectory would put it in Wrightsville not too long from now. Same thing closer towards Sandersville as well. All right, so as we continue to make our way throughout the day, we are going to be seeing some places finishing up with the severe weather. Now, I think Alabama is completely done, but there's a few spots here in middle Georgia that are also looking pretty good. Upson, Taylor County, Sumter County, you guys are just about done with those severe weather chances. Macon, you do have a small chance left over that I want to touch on here in just a second as well. So that's something else we're looking at. Now, for the severe threat level, that has not changed at any point, except for location changed up on me just a bit. I'm going to check with the National Weather Service once again. They said just a new severe thunderstorm warning. All right, or new flood warning, excuse me. Let me get back to this severe thunderstorm warning, though. Let me check with your comments, too, while I'm over here. A lot of us are going to be seeing this heavy rain lasting for quite a while. Now, looking down towards Abbeville, looks like we have a new severe thunderstorm warning. Yeah, for Dodge, Pulaski, Wilcox, guys, that's going to be a new one I want to point out to you. It's one of those spots I was talking about a minute ago. I know I was talking to a few of you guys that we were looking at that same area. This one is going to be until 11:15. New severe thunderstorm warning just issued just about a minute ago. Includes Abbeville. Plenty of heavy rain starting to move in here as well. I'm mainly looking at heavy rain, lightning, along with hail being potential here. Now, it didn't say anything about potential for tornado. I do want to check on that. I'm not seeing too much rotation when I look at the other radar, but you can see Eastman's kind of caught in the middle here between both of them. So if you're in Eastman, that's another spot to watch out for this morning. Abbeville, not too much rotation, but definitely some strong straight line winds right here. You could be seeing winds of 60 miles per hour along with some hail as well. So that's your main threat. Very similar type of hail core developing in that system that we saw closer towards Lawrence County. Okay, so let's go ahead and take another look around the area. So we have this severe thunderstorm warning lasting until 11:15. The other one, I believe, ends at 11. So this smaller one in Abbeville is going to begin to see that heavier rain and really that wind already pushing in. But you're going to see that heavy rain pushing in pretty shortly too. Further up towards the north, guys, this one in Dublin, lots and lots of strong wind with this. Plenty of lightning. If any of these storms currently in middle Georgia could produce a tornado, this one is it. But the good news for us, rotation is very broad. Typically, you need very tight rotation for a tornado to develop, but the way we're starting off here is that plenty of lightning, plenty strong winds, plenty of heavy rain. That is enough to warrant that severe thunderstorm warning up in that area. Now again, that could be changing here over the next few minutes, and that's something we're going to be tracking. For those of you watching closer towards Macon and Warner Robins, you're starting to see that rain lighten up just a tad bit, but an area of concern for me is going to be back over here. You can see a little bit more rain developing closer towards Thomaston. Further down towards the south, there's like a secondary line developing. That could also produce a good chance of severe weather out there. So really looking at this one starting to move closer towards Americus as it develops into early this afternoon. Okay, so those are our two warnings out there. We're not really looking at too much in the way of, hail yet, but if we check back in over here, give this a second to load up, I'll show you if it's developing or not, because typically you either see it coming on up and you know the storm is strengthening, or coming on down and you know it's kind of getting weaker and nothing's really materializing with it. And at least for this first one, I'm liking this look of this one. Lots and lots of area that is completely clear. You're only looking at this very small area there where it says hail could be happening. And again, guys, whenever it comes to the hail tracker, go ahead, knock off at least 1/4 of an inch from that size. So what this tells you is that there's no hail at all. Hail's developing, it's not reaching the ground for that system closer towards Dublin. Further down towards the south, very different story, especially if you look closer towards Ashburn and Fitzgerald. This little hail core right here could be moving closer towards Abbeville. Again, probably no hail is reaching the ground because you have to knock off a couple of 1/4 of an inches if you look at situations like this. So, all right, we have a new tornado warning for Wheeler County. Go ahead and look over here. We're going to get a couple things set up. We are going to be switching from Facebook Live to on air, and we are going to keep you informed on air. So make sure to turn us on TV, but we have a new tornado warning that's just been issued for Wheeler County. It's really important portions of Telfair as well as Trutland County. That's where you guys are looking at the most. So stick with us on Facebook Live. We're going to get a couple things set up here, and we're going to be talking a lot more about this system. We also have a tornado watch that just came down for a few of our counties as well. This is going to include Baldwin. It's going to include Dodge, Manuel County. You're also seeing that for Jefferson, Johns, Lawrence, Montgomery, Telfair, Toombs, Trutland, Washington, Wheeler, and Wilkinson all have a new tornado watch in effect along with this tornado warning. Give us just 1 second. We will be right back. We are going to make sure we get this on air and then talk to you guys in just a moment.
All right. If you want to drive the radar, please. When we do this TV cut in. Yeah. What's the information on that warning?
I didn't.
Let's see. You're good. Montgomery, Telfair, Trutland, Wheeler. Check. Check. We're good. Do you want to hop in the Weather Center?
This is already set up for me, like the camera.
Okay.
We have to reset it, so we'll switch. Good morning, everyone. We do have a new tornado warning that has been issued. That has been issued for Middle Georgia. You can see that is in Wheeler County. That's the main area of concern right now. This is really the spot we're tracking right here. So let me go ahead and point out velocity over here for you. A lot of us are going to be keeping an eye on the system to kind of show you what we're expecting out there. And I do want to point out that we are looking at some rotation with this system. And Jeff, if I can ask you to switch radar sites for me, go ahead and check on over to the, there we go. A little bit better sight right here. Okay, so new tornado warning issued mainly in Wheeler County. This is the spot of most concern. You can see Alamo, really the spot to watch out for. This is going to be County Road 174, where the potential tornado is to start off the day. Now, further up towards the north, there's going to be plenty of spots over here that are looking at a very good chance to see this tornado passing through as well. But right now, the main spot of concern is going to be County Road right there just south of Alamo. Along 280 is going to be another spot to watch out for.
Let us know
so
when
if
you
you're
get on
going to be
TV.
in that area, make sure to get into the middle of your house. If you have a bathroom without windows, any rooms without windows, that is the spot to be if you live south of Alamo. So south of Alamo is where the biggest concern is to start off your day right there. Now, all across the area, you're mainly just looking at strong wind. Further up towards the north, you can see that stronger wind that could be moving into Mount Vernon. But with the way this is tracking, I think it's going to be moving up towards the northeast. And rotation could get a little bit worse with a situation like this. We're already in the later morning hours. Whenever that does happen, whenever we get in the later morning hours, that is when you do see these systems begin to strengthen just a tad bit more. So the rotation right here is beginning to strengthen quite a bit, especially south of Alamo. If you're anywhere around there, make sure to get indoors, get to an interior room of your house. That is where we're going to be looking at the best chance for a tornado to be touching down. Now, when you look at a radar like this, what you're looking for is a bit of a blending of the colors. So you can see a lot of dark green here, plenty of bright blue along with the red. So what that tells you is that you have wind going in all different kinds of directions. So this is how the National Weather Service issues these. They take a look at this, they look at the area where potential rotation is, and that's where they put it on out. So a lot of us are going to be looking at this tornado warning lasting for the next few minutes. We're going to have a lot of information on that for you, but the way it's starting off today is that we are going to be seeing plenty of severe weather with this system overall. The way it stands is that I think many of us here in Middle Georgia are going to be looking at a potential for this tornado to pass on through. So south of Alamo is where the worst of this is going to be. You're looking at Mount Vernon to be the next spot where this could be moving on through. Overall, I don't think that we're looking at a lot of this outside of that area. This is the main spot of concern, so we are going to be focusing on this spot in particular.
Yeah, Daniel, and good morning, everyone. You're just joining us on Fox 24 and ABC 16. Chief Meteorologist Jeff Cox with you, along with meteorologist Daniel McFarland, breaking into programming this morning for a tornado warning that is in our southeastern counties. We knew the severe weather threat was there today, and we're getting that right now. We have a tornado warning in effect for northeastern Telfair County, southwest Treutlen County, all of Wheeler County, and northwest Montgomery County. That's going until 11:15 this morning. At this time, a potential tornado located near the Scotland area, near Alamo, moving northeast at 45 miles per hour. So this is a radar-indicated tornado. So this isn't confirmed. There is no ground truth to this yet, but enough radar evidence to suggest that we need to be seeking our tornado shelter in that area. What we'll do here is put a timeline on this particular rotation as it moves to the northeast, and areas that would be impacted by this are going to be Glenwood and eventually Terrytown if this holds together. Again, this is a tornado warned storm in the Alamo area. You need to be in your tornado safety procedures right now in Alamo, and this will eventually head towards Bon Hill and Lothair in the next 15 to 20 minutes. But you don't want to wait until that. You want to go ahead and be getting into your safety places right now, especially in the Alamo area. As Daniel was documenting, this is rotation that is in Alamo, crossing Highway 280 now. What you're looking at on the screen is our velocity mode. We're measuring the wind within a thunderstorm, and in this particular case where those greens and blues are meeting, that's where we have rotation. That's where we have spin right now, and we are looking at wind speeds in excess of 80 miles per hour right now. Wind speeds in excess of, there's a 92 mile per hour on our gate-to-gate shear. So we've got winds in excess of 90 miles per hour potentially. Now, some of this may be a little elevated in the thunderstorm, but certainly at the surface, could you see wind gusts of 70 to 80? Wouldn't rule it out. So once again, we have a tornado warning. There's the new scan. So now we're approaching Snow Hill Church Road. Snow Hill Church Road. This is just west of Stuckey in Wheeler County. Wheeler County. Officially Telfair County, you were in the warning, but we're no longer worried about tornado development in Telfair County right now. This is going to be a Wheeler County storm right now in the Alamo area, and this is approaching the Stuckey community just to the west. Snow Hill Church Road is the area of most concern where we see that blue blob. That's the easiest way to describe it. Look at your screen right now. That is where the rotation is, and as we sample some of the data coming in, we're seeing wind speeds, we've got wind speeds of 80 to 90 miles per hour at the very least. And again, that may be a little bit up in the storm, but at the surface, some of that's going to translate down, and damaging wind is certainly possible. And all of this is going to be moving northeast, eventually towards Barn Hill, if this thing can hold together, certainly at this point. Daniel, we're going to throw up the tornado safety procedures. Why don't you go over that information right now with our viewers?
Sure. So the place you need to be is in the center of your house. If you have a bathroom in the middle of your house, and that's the place you need to be. You also need to be on the lowest floor, because whenever you are on a top floor of the house, you are much more susceptible to the damage. So the lowest part of your house in the middle is where you want to be. So the spot highlighted in green is the spot to be in your house if you plan, or if you're in your house or stuck there during a tornado warning. So lowest floor away from windows is very important, because if that tornado is just outside of your house right there, it could be breaking glass and sending it inside and pulling stuff out. So you need to be away from your windows if a tornado warning is issued. And for you guys just outside of Alamo, that is where the tornado warning is right now, and that's where the potential rotation is as well, just moving over towards the west of Glenwood as we get into this morning. Now, we do have a new tornado watch that just came out along with that new tornado warning. That includes spots like Sparta all the way down towards Eastman. So anyone that lives over in this area, this is going to be the greatest spot of concern for tornadoes later on today. I'm looking at areas like Dublin that could potentially see that tornado also pushing through their area if this thing holds together. You're also going to be looking at Wrightsville having a very good chance to see that severe weather pushing through. Now, we did see a tornado watch earlier this morning. Not much materialized with that, but this warning or watch is going to be just a little bit different, because we're now getting closer towards the afternoon hours. The sun is up, temperatures are going up, and that means instability is going to be there for this system to potentially produce things like tornadoes along with severe weather. So current location of where this could be, just south of Snow Hill Church Road. That's where the potential rotation is.
And look at that, 123 miles per hour, Daniel.
Yeah, you see that, guys, right here, 123 mile per hour gate-to-gate wind shear. So there's a very good chance that we could see a potential tornado touchdown in this area. Again, that's not confirmed yet, but with the way the rotation is setting on up, very, very strong chance that we do see something touchdown.
There's the new scan crossing Snow Hill Church Road now.
Moving right over Snow Hill Church Road. Guys, again, this is just going to be over towards the west of Glenwood. What is that? That's Landsburg
Road up next.
Yep, that's going to be the spot it's moving through. So if you live on Landsburg Road, that is where this potential tornado is going to be moving towards next. Make sure to get inside, get to the middle part of your house. This is the area of most concern across all of Middle Georgia. There's no other area across Middle Georgia that is looking at a great tornado threat at the moment other than this one.
And what we're looking at on the radar now is trying to determine if there are any debris signatures showing up on the radar. So bear with us as we kind of do some raw analysis. Our radar is sophisticated enough to where it can detect any limbs or leaves being wafted into the environment. There's a little bit of a depression where you see some of those brighter reds north of Alamo. That's something we'll watch. Maybe the radar picking up on something right now, but certainly evident rotation on the radar right now. We'll switch back to our velocity mode here. So our radar is able to scan the storm, looking for damaging wind potential, rotation within the storm, and right now that is going to be headed towards Landsburg Road. And this thing's moving so fast that we have to jump out ahead of it. So where it shows that on the radar now, it's already moved on from that. That's how fast this area of rotation is moving. So Landsburg Road, where it intersects with Highway 19, this is going to be in North Wheeler County, eventually heading towards Barn Hill. An impressive area of rotation right now in which we are showing intense wind, the potential of 100 mile per hour wind gusts right now showing up around Snow Hill Church Road, moving towards Landsburg Road. And this is a warning for this area that will go until 11:15. So we continue to watch this tornado warning right now. I want to reset the stage here and kind of give you an idea of what's going on all across Middle Georgia. So far, we've been pretty benign, severe weather-wise. But now things are starting, as Daniel was just alluding to a moment ago, we're starting to get into an area of instability, and now we've got a new tornado warning.
Okay,
this is going to be in Lawrence County. So a new tornado warning in Lawrence County now. This is just coming in east of Dublin. So this is a new tornado warning now in eastern Lawrence County that is just coming down.
Yes, and it's intersecting with that old severe thunderstorm warning that's still in effect. So it's not likely that it is associated with, it's a different storm, but you can definitely see the rotation right here. That blending of the green and the red, that's where the potential tornado is. So as you get closer towards Highway 199, that is where the most spot of concern is going to be. And as Jeff was mentioning before, This radar is a little bit behind. We only get an update once every few minutes. And so if anyone lives along Highway 199 or along I-16, that is where the spot of most concern is going to be. And the way this is setting up, if you look up towards the north, I-16 is right there. And this is likely to hold together as we get into that area as well.
Yeah, and that includes Johnson County as well till 11:30.
Yeah, so this one's till 11:30, includes Johnson County, which I believe is just north of this area too. And one thing you're going to notice here is that we're looking at some very, very strong winds. Plenty of this area is probably going to be seeing these wind gusts around 70 miles per hour, even if they don't see that tornado moving on through. You're seeing some very bright greens. Let's see, this one's not showing too much, but the rotation is there enough that you could see something closer towards the ground with the rotation out there.
Yeah, and we'll go back to that Wheeler County storm. I think that's the more impressive cell right now.
Yeah, that's the one to watch.
And Landsberg Road, again, it's coming that way. It's there. And it's going to cross Highway 19 north of Landsberg Road in Wheeler County. That tornado warning goes until 11:15. Again, Telfair County has been removed from that tornado warning. Alamo, you are removed from that. Mount Vernon, you are not in the tornado warning. Glenwood, you are, but Glenwood, we're not worried about tornado development in Glenwood right now. It's going to be off to your north. The signature is a little bit less impressive, and the wind is coming down. So this thing could be cycling, or it could be falling apart. These are this type of environment is going to be very quick. They're brief, they're short-lived, but they can pack a punch when they happen. So 2 active tornado warnings right now in this area. And the second one is now in eastern Lawrence County, and this one's not as impressive looking. It spun up a little bit, and again, that just a few minutes ago, the rotation was much more impressive than what it is now, and that's just a perfect example of this type of environment where whatever spins up is going to be very quick and do its job, and then and fall apart. This particular area of rotation is going to cross I-16 here in the next few minutes, where it intersects at Highway 199. So those areas in Lawrence County need to be on alert. But again, I'm not totally concerned about that right now, as much as I would be this one coming into Treutlen County. So the rotation now it's past Landsberg Road, and it's at the intersection of 46 and 19, and then it's going into Treutlen County. So that's the next stop for this rotation. So we'll track it. So Barnhill and Lothair. It is coming in your direction. So that's the next stop for this area of rotation that we see in Wheeler County.
It's moving pretty quickly too. You see the times there, 11:04. You see in the top corner, Barnhill, it'll be there, and then Lothair at 11:06. So I do think if they extend this, it'll be needed real soon, because if this is picking up speed, it's only have 15 minutes left on the warning. It'll be past there.
And Soperton is not in a warning right now, but it would not surprise me if they extend that and put Soperton in. So Soperton, we'll be keeping an eye on you folks in the coming minutes. It is 11 o'clock on this Friday morning. If you are turning over to both Fox 24 and ABC 16, we have broken into regular programming for 2 active tornado warnings. We'll be with you through at least 11:30 this morning. We have 1 tornado warning right now that includes North Wheeler County, western Montgomery County, and South Treutlen County. That goes until 11:15. If you were in Treutlen County in the Soperton area, you are not yet under a warning, but I wouldn't be surprised if they extend that into your area. And then we've got a second warning that is in Lawrence County, but again, it doesn't really, there's just not much there right now. This thing spun up pretty quickly 5 or 10 minutes ago, and is really already falling apart. So I'm more concerned about that storm heading into Treutlen County. But again, we're on the air this morning. If you're looking for regular programming on both Fox 24 and ABC 16, we are interrupting regular programming for 2 active tornado warnings as our severe weather threat continues. We'll reset the stage for those of you that are just joining us with a live look at our radar. What we've been showing you on the radar is what we call our velocity mode, measuring the wind within these thunderstorms. Things are going to rapidly improve west of Macon and Warner Robins. There are a few lingering showers, but the severe threat has really shifted east of I-75. And the areas that we'll be most concerned about, I'm circling on your screen. So take a moment and look at the TV if you're not sitting on your couch right now. Sparta, Sandersville, Wrightsville, Dublin, Soperton, Eastman, McRae, Vidalia. Those are the areas that are most at risk for severe weather right now. We've also got a pretty nasty storm in Jasper County. Not severe, but it's north of Monticello with quite a bit of thunder and lightning.
Notice there's also one south of Vidalia there as well.
Yeah.
So if anyone knows anyone in this area, this one kind of would sneak up on you.
Yep.
There's a one moving through Graham. I know it's just outside of our area here, but that one looks very strong.
Yeah, and that'll be headed toward Toombs County in the next few minutes, so we'll keep an eye on that as well. And it's no slouch of a storm south of Eastman. That is a severe thunderstorm moving out of Abbeville. So Abbeville conditions are going to improve dramatically in the next few minutes, but Chauncey, heads up, boy, it is going to go downhill in a hurry there in eastern Dodge County. But again, I think the storm of the minute is going to be that one heading into Trutland County. So I'm going to switch our radar source back to our velocity mode, and notice again we've got that rotation heading into far west Trutland County in the Barnhill community. That is headed towards the Georgia Highway 199 spur near Lothair, and is going to impact the folks there in the coming minutes. With these tornado warnings in effect, Daniel, why don't you go over those tornado safety procedures for our viewers once again?
Sure. So make sure that you go in the center part of your house whenever you have a situation like this. As soon as you hear that tornado warning go off, you want to be on the first floor, and you want to be in a room without windows, because those windows can easily break in a situation because of flying debris. You have tree limbs. You also have the tornado that can get close enough that can break the window itself. So if you can get inside either a center bathroom, a laundry room, anything in the middle of your house, that is the safest place to be. Even in some of the strongest tornadoes, you could stay safe in a spot like that. And again, guys, this is mainly going to be for you guys underneath those tornado warnings right now, but there is other areas that we could see pop up with tornado warnings here in the next few minutes. Make sure that you cover your head as well. Another thing we're looking at is that tornado watch. This was issued just a few minutes ago. They actually expired it further down towards the south of Cordele. They were looking at tornado watch there. That is now gone. But if you live in between Sparta, Milledgeville, all the way down to Eastman and McRae, this is the spot of most concern for the next few hours. That's why the tornado watch is going to be in place for those spots. And even for those of you in Wilkinson County, you are still looking at that chance as well. Now, this is going to be the area that we are tracking this morning. You are looking at one tornado warning just outside of Dublin. The other one's just going to be just south of Soperton. Now, when it comes to the radar, not too much happening here when it comes to lightning, but that heavy rain is going to be something that's there as well. Hail, not too much hail cores with it either. But whenever we get up to the velocity, you are going to see how the rotation is there with a situation like this. You are going to notice a little bit mainly towards the northern portion of this warning. So closer towards Soperton, that's going to be a spot of more concern as you get closer and closer towards this one expiring at 11:15. And this one up here is going to expire closer to about 11:30. So this is the way we're starting off. There is a little bit of lightning out in front. You're looking at plenty of strong rain or heavy rain as well. There's also going to be strong wind. And Jeff, this is the biggest concern, is strong wind. Even if you're in the tornado warning, it's wind over everything else.
Well, no doubt. And the wind has been howling all morning. And tornado is such a buzzword. You have to worry about damaging wind. It's just that. It's damaging. A tree falls on your home, it puts you in danger. So damaging wind, don't ignore that fact, and that's what we've got in South Dodge County right now. But improving conditions, that'll be the theme over the next hour to hour and a half. Again, if you're west of 75, your severe weather threat is over. Yes, there's some heavy downpours that'll come on through, but to the east is where we're most concerned about. Look at your TV right now. Those are the areas I'm circling. So Sandersville, Wrightsville, Dublin, Soperton, McRae, Eastman. That's where severe weather remains possible right now, and that's where we have 2 active tornado warnings at this hour. What we'll do here is bring in our velocity mode of the radar, showing the latest concerns for this particular thunderstorm. And the rotation is really it's come back.
Starting to pick back up. You can see it moving out of the area too.
So we're in that boot hill of Trutland County, just in the Barnhill community. That thing picked back up, and that's one thing, Daniel, we'll see with these storms is they will tend to cycle in this particular environment. They'll pop up, they'll fade, and then they'll come back.
Yeah, so I definitely expect in a situation like this for there to be another tornado warning issued, but for not to be in a straight line. It's actually going to be probably issued from the area you see here, including Georgia Highway 199 and Barnhill, which is currently where the potential tornado is, and further up, probably towards the Soperton area, is going to be the spot of most concern for this morning. You just saw a new scan come in, moving closer towards Lothair right now. And now this is going to be at the very edge of that tornado warning. So you can expect a new one to come down here in just a few minutes. Whenever that does happen, we're going to make sure to get that to you and also fill you in on where exactly they're projecting this thing to go next. But it's really spun out and gone further up towards the northern portion of that area. So if you're further up towards the north, Lothair, and up towards what is this? This is Highway 199. Also looks like it's going to be passing you by. Lothair Church Road's another spot of concern. Very, very strong rotation here, guys. You're seeing the bright green colors and also those red colors very close together. Whenever that happens, that means there is rotation in the area right there. So it's a very easy spot to see that there could potentially be a tornado in this area. And remember, these scans are always a few minutes behind. So if you're looking at this and thinking that I have a few minutes, I live closer towards, say, Soperton, or what's this, Highway 29 over here, that is really a spot where you need to be prepared right now for the system to pass you by. And as you can see right here, I-16, another spot of concern. Because as this gets closer and closer, this rotation could strengthen and weaken, as we saw just a minute ago with it. So I am looking at spots like along I-16.
All right, there's your new tornado warning.
All right, yep, so brand new one. That does include I-16, does include Soperton. At the moment, it looks like it's continuing to move out of that old warning, so that one should expire any minute now. But further up towards the north, Lothair Church Road is going to be your biggest spot of concern for this morning, along with spots that are north of Highway 29. Yeah. That's what we're looking at.
So we've got that tornado potentially over Lothair. It's to the west of Soperton. It's moving north at 55 miles per hour now. Flying debris is going to be dangerous to anyone without shelter. Mobile homes could be damaged or destroyed in this. Damage to roofs, windows, and vehicles will occur. Tree damage is likely. Soperton, Lothair, Orland, Rockledge, Oriana, Blackville, and Barnhill, you need to take cover now. Daniel's been going over those safety procedures. Move to a basement or an interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. Avoid windows. If you are outdoors in a mobile home or in a vehicle, you need to move to the closest substantial shelter and protect yourself from flying debris. Again, this is a tornado warning for east central Lawrence County and western Trutland County until 11:45 this morning. For my guys in the back and our master control operators, we will be on the air until 11:45 so that you can make plans accordingly. Again, we've got right now a tornado warning that has been extended into western Trutland County for rotation that continues to cycle. And what we'll do is put a new tracker on this that is speeding up. So we're up to 55 miles per hour now. And this is going to take it towards Orland, Oriana, Blackville, and Adrian in the next 10 minutes, Daniel. Incredible speed on this. Those areas need to be taking shelter immediately.
Yes, very, very, very fast, actually. Look at this. Adrian, there by 11:21, and it looks like it's a far ways away, already out of the warning, and this warning is until 11:45. So I can imagine if this cell holds together, it will cause a new warning to be issued, probably issued until about noon at that point in time. So stick with us, and we'll let you know whenever that one does come down. You can see further over that other warning, not really too much happening with that one right now. So that one's probably going to expire on time. But this is the area of most concern. You're seeing that potential rotation just south of Orland. It could be in a spot like Blackville as we get closer towards 11:17 and eventually into Adrian. Another thing we've seen with this cell, Jeff, is that it's kind of twisting a little bit. It hasn't been a straight tornado going straight through. It's kind of curved up towards the north.
And a new severe thunderstorm warning just issued. We talked about that one heading towards Toombs County. That was a tornado warning. They've gone severe on that now, but that's just outside of our viewing area, so we won't spend much time on that. Also, heads up in Chauncey. That wind is wicked there. There's rotation there. So in the Chauncey area, rotation starting to show up, at least straight line wind. So heads up Jaybird Springs. You've got some nasty wind coming in your direction in eastern Dodge County. So Jaybird Springs towards McRae and Milan, some really, really nasty wind along that line. What we're looking at right now is this leading edge. And notice how it's bowing out. There's curvature to that. That's a sign of damaging wind, and there is a little rotation right there around Chauncey. So officially not a warning there, but you do not want to be caught outdoors in this particular area of interest as it approaches Jaybird Springs. Some really, really nasty wind happening right there, something we'll continue to keep an eye on. But of immediate concern are the two tornado warnings that we have. That Lawrence County warning, I just don't see anything that jumps out at me. And of course there's a little bit of rotation outside the warning, but the main concern, and once again, this thing is cycling in the Orland area. What what built up around low there is now falling apart again, and that's one thing we've talked about in this environment, is that these tornadoes that form in this type of storm environment are weak, and they are brief, they're short-lived, and so just when you see them, they're up for a minute, and then they go away for a minute, and then they'll come back for a minute, and they'll go away for a minute. If we've got any weather geeks watching, we'll throw out a term for you. It's a QLCS environment, quasi-linear convective system. And so we see this line of storms with little embedded areas of rotation. And if I'm totally honest with you as a meteorologist, this type of setup is our least favorite because it's so hard to track these types of tornadoes because they are so short-lived and they are hard to detect, but they're certainly out there. There's a new severe thunderstorm warning. This is going to be for several counties, and it's that leading edge where there is rotation embedded in Chauncey. But just as we talked about, folks, we just gave you a warning, a heads up before the National Weather Service issued that warning. That's coverage you can count on, keeping you ahead of the storm. So Dodge County, eastern Dodge County, Jaybird Springs, damaging wind moving through right now with potential tornado development. So eastern Dodge County, Chauncey to Jaybird Springs, you need to seek shelter immediately. And again, what you can see here, notice the curvature along that leading edge. That's where this wind is just pushing out. This is a bowing segment. And no doubt there's going to be some damaging wind along that line right now heading into Jaybird Springs.
Yeah, and even though there's not a tornado there right now, damaging wind can do just as much damage. And it can do it in a wider area as well. But let's go ahead and look back at this potential tornado that could be moving through this area right here. It looks like this one has some very, very strong winds associated with it. We did see earlier that they were upwards close to 100 mile an hour as far as the shear is concerned. It's coming down, but the rotation still very strong just south of Blackville. You see that really great contrast of those colors between the red and the green. Whenever they're that close together and you see those bright colors, that does tell you that you are looking at potential for a tornado touchdown. It's already past I-16, moving towards Blackville, moving very quickly, 55 miles per hour. So for you guys in Blackville, could be there within the next few minutes.
It's now, yeah.
Yeah, it's there right now if it's there. And you're also looking at it moving into Adrian here in the next 5 minutes. So if you're in Adrian, definitely want to go seek shelter right now because that's where you need to be. Even though the system isn't there just yet, looks like it could be moving across Oriana Road, closer towards Anderson Pond as well, looks to be the latest update. And really anywhere across that area has a very strong chance.
We're strengthening again.
Yep, there you go. It's kind of coming up and going down at the same time. You're seeing 70 mile per hour winds, again, potentially rotating right here. No confirmation of a tornado just yet, but this is very strong evidence that
I'll check our debris tracker, and let me zoom out a little bit to see if we've got any type of debris signature showing up. Nothing that jumps out at me right now that is of immediate concern. The radar, as you know, Daniel, can work to detect debris, whether it's limbs or leaves or building materials, but not seeing much of any evident signature right now. But we still take it seriously.
Yes, definitely. Anderson Pond, you guys are a big spot right now, and definitely we're going to keep an eye on that other one for you to kind of show you if there's debris. That one's probably a much better I think, indicator of a tornado moving through because it actually picks up the debris in the air. This velocity is also very, very good, but at the same time, it could just be some very strong winds that are just melting together. But the way this system has developed, I do think there is potential for one to be on the ground around Anderson's Pond. And again, 55 miles per hour. This only updates every few minutes, so it can very easily already be next to Blacksville right now, closer towards Adrian. Now, we should have another tornado warning popping up any minute to kind of extend this further up towards the north, out of a spot like Soperton, but you can see Jaybird Springs, as he was mentioning before, very, very strong area of straight line winds, potential for rotation, but Jeff, I definitely think the bigger concern there is the wind.
Yeah, and tornado is such a buzzword. That's become our mantra in this weather system, because we have so many people that will say, oh, there's not a tornado threat, I'm not concerned. Folks, I'm telling you what, I'd be concerned in Jaybird Springs right now. That wall of wind just came through there, and wouldn't be surprised to hear of some trees down in that area this morning. And this is all going to, there's that little hook on the east side of Dodge County, and it's going right through there. But there's also some small embedded areas of rotation on that. But no doubt about it, I wouldn't be surprised to hear of winds in excess of 40 to 50 miles per hour there. And so certainly severe. But the good news is, there's not a tornado warning there, but the bad news is you need to trust the severe thunderstorm warning as it moves into that little hook of Dodge County north of Little Mulgee State Park. We'll go back to our tornado warning, and as you said, Daniel, this thing's racing through this warning. This particular warning was supposed to go until 11:45, and there's no way they're going to have to issue another one for Adrian. Heads up, Adrian, you've got rotation coming in your direction.
And with the speed of this thing, it might already be there because, again, this radar only updates once every few minutes, as you know, Jeff, and that can be very frustrating that we don't get it in real time. But
I would say it's there.
Yes.
I mean, it's in Adrian, and so you need to be putting in your safety procedures. We've gone over those this morning. Center part of your house. Look at that diagram. Take a moment, whether you're in this warning or not. If you're just at home, maybe you're in the kitchen and you're listening. I want you to stop what you're doing and let's educate for a moment. Come look at your screen. Notice most of the house is in red. Most of your house is where you don't want to be during a tornado warning or a severe thunderstorm warning. You want to be in that one green room. Notice it's in the middle of the house. This is the lowest floor. If you have a basement, go there. But if you have a multi-story house, do not be on the second floor. Do not be on the third floor. Be on the first floor. Get in the basement if you have a basement. You're away from windows. You're away from exterior walls. So again, we've got certain procedures that you want to put into place. And as you can see on the diagram, most of your house is not a good place to be when it comes to severe weather. And that final bullet point, it sounds dramatic, but cover your head, whether it's using a bicycle helmet, a football helmet, a baseball helmet, if you have blankets or pillows. Folks, damaging wind is just that damaging. Tree comes falling on your house, it can do serious bodily injury. And there have been studies that show protecting your head goes a long way in saving your life when it comes to severe weather. And so I would rather be dramatic and I would rather over-prepare and over-protect than to underprotect and something happen to you. And so that's really become a phrase for us, is that it's take it seriously and protect yourself in this type of environment. Latest look at the radar. We've got 2 severe thunderstorm warnings and 2 tornadoes. There it is. There's that new tornado warning for Johnson County. They're having to keep up with this storm. This thing is just flying through. So Adrian, it's there. Adrian, it's there. Right at Kelly Street, I believe that showed up. Yeah, Kelly Street. That's where the latest scan showing rotation is.
Still moving 55 miles an hour, by the way. Will expire at noon. At
noon. Yes. Okay, great to know. And again, this thing, it's probably going to get to the end of the warning before noon.
I would say so.
Adrian, Meeks, and Kite are the latest areas. So let's get you the information on this right now. Again, as Daniel just said, till noon for eastern Johnson County. With this particular cell, as we've documented, the rotation is over Adrian, and it's moving north at 55 miles per hour. So places like Adrian, Kite, New Hope, and Meeks, you are under this tornado warning and need to seek shelter immediately. So we just went over those procedures. In this particular storm, flying debris could be an issue. Mobile homes, that's not where you want to be right now. Structure damage is possible. Tree damage is expected. We need you to take cover now by moving to a basement or an interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. Get away from windows. If you are outdoors in a mobile home or in a vehicle, you've got to get to a substantial shelter and protect yourself from any flying debris. Again, a tornado warning for eastern Johnson County until noon. That includes Adrian, Kite, New Hope, and Meeks. That is a new tornado warning now. The other parts of Johnson County and Lawrence County were removed from the original warning, and this one replaces it. Wrightsville, you are not in the warning. Wrightsville, you are not in the warning. So western Johnson County was a part of that original Lawrence County warning, and that has been canceled.
Yeah, it looks like that one died out pretty quickly too, and this one kind of really sped up. And again, speed's the big thing with this one. So if you're very far away, if you're in Kite, as you saw, that's going to be in the line of fire here with this system.
And we're not showing much of anything right now. I mean, this thing is cycled back down again, Daniel.
Well, that's certainly good news.
But take it seriously.
Yes, absolutely. Strong wind still an issue no matter where you are across the area. You can see that it's kind of coming down with the wind speeds here just a little bit, or I should say with the rotation, but those wind speeds are still going to be a very big concern out there, even after this warning ends. Whenever you do get into the later part of the day today, we're still going to be expecting strong wind out there, so you can basically expect that through the end of your afternoon. If there's any potential rotation here, it's still going to be north of Adrian, so you need to be prepared if you live in a spot like Meeks or Kite. And again, 55 miles per hour the system's moving. That could tear away that potential tornado, which would be excellent news, but that wind will still be very strong as the system continues to move up towards the north. You're also going to notice further down towards the south, still have that old tornado warning. I would expect that one to just be expired. It is initially expected to expire around 11:45, but because of the speed of this system and how quickly this potential storm is moving, you could see this potentially moving out of a spot like north of Soperton eventually as we get into the last part of this morning.
I don't like the look of that, Daniel.
Yeah, definitely not. You're seeing the blend of colors before. Remember, if you guys were watching us a few minutes ago and we were tracking that one closer towards Soperton, you are seeing potential here for a tornado as well. Now, we don't have a warning issued here just yet, but I'm certain that they're probably going to be issuing at least another severe thunderstorm warning with this system, if not a tornado warning, because of this potential rotation. So anyone that lives along 319, closer towards New Bethel Church Road, very, very close to there as well, and further up towards the north, you can see right there along 126, 319, as I mentioned. Anywhere up here, be prepared for a potential tornado to move through, because the way this is setting up, it looks like we could see something developing here over the next few minutes.
And that is South Lawrence County, and whether there's a tornado there or not, there's damaging wind, and so that's something we need to keep an eye on as that slides into Lawrence County this morning as we approach the lunchtime hour. Pretty wicked weather there this morning in those areas. I'm going to check out our Dublin Skycam and see if anything is going on this morning, what it looks like. We know something's going on.
Yes.
So what we're going to do is we'll switch over. There's our Dublin camera, and you can see the trees are whipping in the wind. We're going to zoom this thing all the way out and just kind of give you an idea of what it looks like in Dublin right now.
Wow, lots of heavy rain there in the background.
It's just miserable looking right now. And what I'll do is pan this off to the south. So that's looking more northwest. So what we'll do is, and I don't expect to see anything. I mean, this is such a low cloud deck. And that's basically the situation in Middle Georgia. Trying to see severe weather is just darn near impossible.
Yeah, something to note, especially for the southeast, is that a lot of the tornadoes that we do have are rain wrapped, and so they're very, very difficult to see. So don't go out looking for it. You're not going to see it. It could sneak up on you, though, so that's why you need to be prepared on the inside of your house.
I'm going to pan that around. We'll go back to the radar, Daniel, because that rotation there is tightening up in South Lawrence County along 319. Oh, new tornado warning. Yep. We just called it. There it is. So once again, our team is on top of that, so let's get this new tornado warning for you, folks. Let's see here. This is going to go until noon for Lawrence and Wheeler County, and if we can make sure to get that pushed to our news app, if our digital team can make sure that goes to our news app, please. This is going to be a tornado warning going towards Highway 319. Latest information we have on this, tornado possible over Cedar Grove, and this is moving northeast at 55 miles per hour. So the following areas, Lowry and Cedar Grove, heads up. You are at risk for tornado development now, something our team has been watching, and we kind of gave you a heads up that this was possible. And then the National Weather Service agreeing by issuing that tornado warning, and that goes until noon, heading for the Scotland Road area where it intersects Highway 126, intersecting Highway 126 and 319. Heads up, tornado warning for that area with potential tornado development as we speak. So certainly seeking shelter in those areas right now as a nasty storm cell comes in your direction.
So yeah, again, main concern here is going to be around Scotland Road. You can see that spot has it, all along with Highway 126 here also looks like it's very, very close to this rotation. Same thing with Lowry Fire. If you're going to live around that spot, that's another spot of concern as we start off the day. So very, very tight rotation here. Again, the winds are starting to pick on up, and this is a new tornado warning that's lasting until noon. As we continue to make our way throughout the rest of the day, there's a new scan for you.
There's your Lawrence County camera,
yes,
your Dublin camera.
Plenty of heavy rain.
Just trying to scan. Let's scan the horizon there, Daniel, and see what you see. See if you see anything.
Yeah,
not much.
Too much. That's, again, as we said just a minute ago, a huge problem with storms, especially this time of year and being in the southeast, is that you cannot see those tornadoes when they move on through. They're typically rain-wrapped tornadoes. So even if you were to look outside, you're not going to see very much right here. Just a lot of heavy rain. You're going to potentially see a lot of strong wind as well. In fact, if you look in the background, trees are moving very, very quickly because of this wind out there. Now, regardless, our biggest threat today is not necessarily going to be these tornadoes. Again, that strong wind will be affecting everyone throughout the next few hours. And it's not just going to be a spot like Lawrence County, who's currently looking at that warning, but it's going to be for everyone. So make sure to keep an eye on that wind, because we've already seen wind gusts around 70 miles an hour.
Yeah, certainly rotation there, and just not seeing much other than just this thing. Anything that's out there, you're not going to see it, because that's what it looks like right now. Here's the latest look at the radar as we continue this tornado warning in Lawrence County. This is going to be Cedar Grove area heading towards Scotland Road in South Lawrence County. Dublin, you are not in this tornado warning. Dublin, you're not. Let's go back up to our Johnson County warning, and that rotation has really dropped off in a hurry there. And so I think the Kite community, I don't want you to stop protecting yourself in Kite, but I feel the threat is diminishing there. So we're going to focus more on South Lawrence County. And as we've seen with every one of these warnings, they're cycling. It builds up, and now it's going away. Where you see those blues going away, that's a sign that the rotation is going away. Still a threat for damaging wind, but one thing we've mentioned this morning in our coverage over the last 30 or 45 minutes is how quickly these types of tornadoes cycle in this environment. And that's one thing that is not a surprise in this environment. That's kind of what we expect in this type of storm environment. We'll broaden back out and set the stage here. And Daniel, as you see here, the threat for severe weather is in our eastern counties. Along and west of 75, conditions are for severe weather are over. So we'll use 75 as our dividing line. Yes, there's still heavy rain pushing through one final band, but that is not severe. If you are at home, maybe you're not looking at your TV, stop what you're doing and look at the TV for just a moment. Those areas I just circled, Sandersville, Wrightsville, and Dublin and McRae are dealing with severe weather right now. And Daniel, as you see there, plenty of lightning in these storms right now.
Yes, plenty of lightning. That's definitely the big thing to watch out for with this system as well. I know we've talked plenty about these tornadoes out there, but the lightning, the strong wind, this is all stuff we're going to be tracking throughout the entire morning. But let's go ahead and focus a little bit more on these warnings for you, because there's going to be plenty of spots here around middle Georgia that are looking at these warnings passing on through. Overall, I think the spot of most concern is mainly going to be this one in southern Lawrence County. So if we zoom in here, I do want to point out that we are going to be looking at plenty of lightning there, plenty of strong winds, along with potential for hail. Now, I do want to point out this hail for you real quick, because a lot of us here in middle Georgia haven't seen that today, and that's one threat that we've talked about throughout the week. Now, closer look at one thing I want to point out to you guys is that hail is still a good indicator of severe weather that could potentially develop along with tornadoes. So a lot of hail moving into Johnson County. It does say it's about 1/4 of an inch in size, not very big, but you are going to potentially see that falling to the ground, very small, but they're always great indicators of tornadoes. Now for velocity, this is how we're going to keep an eye on what exactly is going on with the system. So if we go back down, this one that we're looking at approaching Kite, again, if you guys are in Kite and you're watching this, Stay in shelter. You're certainly going to need it. That strong wind is at least going to move on through, if not that potential tornado out there, but at least the threat of that is much, much lower. Now, this is where the area of most concern is at the moment. Southern Lawrence County. If you are in Dublin, you are not seeing this warning. That is well to your south. But if you're in Soperton, it could be headed towards your direction. If we zoom in just a bit more, it could be crossing along I-16, Highway 19 towards Lowry. So another area that we're looking at here as this scan continues to come on through is that the rotation's starting to weaken just a little bit, starting to broaden out. And this is what we want to see, guys. Whenever we look at a tornado warning and you begin to see this broaden out just a little bit, those reds and greens spreading out, that does indicate that the tornado, if it's there, is starting to break up. And that is certainly going to be good news out there. It's going to continue to move closer towards Lowry, and even though the tornado threat is down just a little bit, you are still going to be looking at strong winds moving through the area. Now, these winds still could be upwards of 50 to 60 miles per hour in these storms, and that's the big thing we're watching out for, not just in the area that's looking at the tornado warning, but everywhere. Okay, so we do have that severe thunderstorm warning for Dodge, Lawrence, and Wheeler County. That one's until 11:45. These storms are moving very, very quickly, guys. A lot of us are going to see these systems moving in and out over the next few hours very, very quickly. If I go back to real quick, the safety, you can see the center part of your house, lowest floor, away from windows. Those are the places you need to be to start off the day. Kind of resetting here just a moment. We are going to be looking at some spots that are already done with severe weather chances, but heavy rain still possible out there. So if you live closer towards a spot like Macon, you guys are not looking at that severe weather threat anymore. In fact, it's really going to be sticking over towards the western part of this line. In fact, Eastman and Cochran, you guys are probably about done at this point as well. Now, as we continue to look closer and closer at these cells, you're mainly looking at that tornado threat with this second one that you see down here. There's still that severe thunderstorm warning out there as well, so we're going to continue to track that. But closer towards Wrightsville, there's still that other tornado warning that we've been looking at. Now, this one I don't think is holding together very well, and you're going to see that here in just a moment. You can notice right here that you're seeing, yes, a little bit of a blend of that red and green, but it's really widespread and spread out, so you're not looking at too much there. Now, I want to talk a lot more about this one in southern Lawrence County, because right here, this is still where that tornado could potentially be. It could be breaking up right now because you're starting to see the red kind of disappear, but that bright green and the potential for that blue there to develop here as well. Right around here, strong wind. Your biggest impact is going to be strong wind, potentially upwards of 60 miles per hour out there. We've already seen a few wind gusts upwards of 70, so that's certainly possible. Another thing I want to note with this system is that you are likely to see it redevelop. We've already seen that a couple times with a few different warnings out there, and I think that's going to likely to happen once again as it continues to move closer towards a spot like Soperton. So anyone that lives along Highway 119, that is a spot that we're watching out for the system to be passing you by. Regardless if there's a tornado or not, dangerous, damaging winds will be moving in there over the next few hours. All right, now let's go ahead and talk more about what it's like in Dublin. And again, we're looking down towards the south here. Okay, so when you're looking down towards the south, you can barely see anything because of this rain. If a tornado has developed, what you can expect is for it to be rain-wrapped. When you have rain-wrapped tornadoes, they are very, very difficult to see. And now when you have a tornado that's difficult to see, you obviously can't go outside and look at it, so go ahead and get inside the center of your house because that's the spot you need to be for the day today. Again, guys, biggest area of concern is going to be southern Lawrence County. But I do want to talk a little bit more about where you need to be in your house if a tornado does occur. Now, this is going to be for everyone, not just those of you with that tornado warning in place. You're going to want to be in the center of your house. Okay, so a spot like a bathroom, a center hallway, anywhere in the middle away from windows is your best spot to be. So definitely if you're looking at a bottom floor of your house, looks like this is a spot to be in this room without any windows. So definitely make sure to be on the lowest floor as well. Of course, if you have a basement, that is going to be the best place to be. But if you don't, definitely the middle part of your first floor can go a long way if a tornado does move past your house. Now, if you make sure to stay away from windows, that is another huge thing that you need to be aware of, because not only could debris come in, you can also have a tornado come close by that can also break your windows and also pull you out. That's another thing you need to keep an eye on for those bigger tornadoes, but it looks like we're looking pretty good. Another thing Jeff was talking about earlier is that you do need to cover your head even if you're hiding in these places, a helmet does go a long way. You are going to see a lot of indications of brain trauma in situations like this if people don't cover their heads and say debris falls on them. All right, so let's zoom back in here. Heavy rain occurring in Wrightsville, but it looks like that initial tornado warning is going to be staying over towards your east. And as you can see, closer towards the spot of concern here is going to be Kite. Heavy rain, strong lightning. Again, I don't think there's going to be a tornado here right now. The system's beginning to fall apart, so I would expect the National Weather Service to kind of let this one die out. But of course, these things have redeveloped. Overall, this thing moves very quickly, kind of fell apart as it's exiting that area. So if you're in Kite, I don't want to say you're in the clear just yet, but your tornado chances have dropped quite a bit. All right. If we look further down here towards southern Lawrence County, again, guys, this is where the spot of biggest concern is at the moment. Strong wind over everything else as we get into the rest of the morning out there. So it's mainly sticking up towards the north. We've seen this before this morning. You are looking at that rotation kind of curving up towards the north. That happened earlier, and so I can see another tornado warning, if they issue one, to kind of be moving up closer towards a spot, like moving across Highway 19 towards 199 before that eventually does move on out. But again, starting to broaden. That's what we want to see. We want to see those reds and greens get further apart and also be stretched out to kind of bring down that rotation for any kind of threat of severe weather out there. So Soperton has been very busy over the past little bit. You've seen a couple storms. You've managed to dodge them both, but it does seem like there was a good bit of potential for a quick spin up still here as well. All right, we're going to stick with you guys for a little bit longer, keeping you informed here. We're planning on staying on air until noon or until both of these expire, both of these tornado warnings. Again, we are looking at one left over in Johnson County. That's not going to include Wrightsville. It's going to be moving over towards the east of Wrightsville. And down south of Dublin, you are looking at another potential area that could be moving closer towards Soperton. So that's an area of concern as well as we're starting off the day. All right, we are also looking at a couple severe thunderstorm warnings well out towards our east here. These areas that you see, the yellow boxes, those are going to be outside of our area, not expecting to move on in. And if we go back over to satellite right here, another line of storms is developing over towards the west of Macon and Warner Robins. I'm not expecting any severe weather with that. This is our chance of severe weather, guys. It's going to be in the area that you see right along the eastern edge of our viewing area right here. This is the last spot of concern when it does come to severe weather chances out there, and that is going to be including both southern Lawrence County and Johnson County, where we are looking at those current tornado warnings. But again, and Jeff, I know you noticed this as well, it does seem like they're starting to fall apart if you look at these systems right here.
Yeah, and that's good news. I mean, we're definitely seeing a weakening trend here, and so I don't see much evidence to support new warnings coming down, but hey, never say never, right? And so that's something we'll keep an eye on. But the threat for tornado development seems to be limited right now. And so certainly tornado, as we've talked about, is a buzzword, but there's still the potential for some damaging wind there. And you can see one of those tornado warnings just dropped off. They just canceled Johnson County.
Yes, it does look like they canceled Johnson County.
Yeah, it's dropped off the map. But
no, they didn't. Look very closely.
Oh yeah, there
it's still there, just a little tiny area
over
there.
Take
towards the east of
There we go. It's blended in over
the
radar data. So there's your tornado warning for North Johnson County. But again, I just don't. Nothing's jumping out to me. There's a little bit of rotation where you see the greens embedded, but that's outside the warning, and that's outside of our viewing area. We do not have viewers in that area, so we'll come back to Dodge County or Lawrence County. And
that one's broadened quite a bit. It's also turning north. Remember we saw this earlier with the other systems, how they kind of were curving. This one looks like it's doing a little bit of that.
Yeah, so maybe some straight line wind damage crossing in the Lowry area, so some strong wind gusts there. But conditions are improving there. Here's what the traditional radar looks like. And one thing we've talked about is the severe weather threat is shifting out of the area quickly. I mean, we're almost done with the severe threat. Now, I want to point out Macon County near Marshallville, you just heard thunder, didn't you? There's some lightning there, and so we do have the chance for more storms this afternoon, but I don't think they're severe by any means. In Forsyth, Roberta, down to Montezuma, pouring rain right now, but not severe at this time.
Strong winds, still something to watch out for over there.
Yeah, sure enough. I want to show you what it looks like in Macon. We'll show you our weather camera from Mercer University. Just to give you an idea, in Macon, things have improved. The sky is threatening. This is looking west, where more rain will come in from the west, so we'll keep an eye on that. But in Macon right now, conditions are much improved. We'll take you to Warner Robins right now, where conditions are also much improved right now, and we are drying out at this hour, so that is good news there. Here's the traditional radar. As things begin to calm down, have you, if you've taken any weather pictures or videos this morning, and we know you have, we're all addicted to our smartphones. We'd like you to be our eyes and ears in the community. If you have pictures or videos, go to our website right now, wgxa.tv/chime in. Once you're there, you can upload any weather pictures or videos, and you may very well see them right here on WGXA News during our severe weather coverage. Again, it's on the website right there, wgxa.tv/chime in. I believe we have one sent in from earlier this morning. This was in Pike County, northwest of Forsyth.
Oh, wow,
that is a
look at
car
that.
dealership that is flooded. Incredible stuff there. So car dealership that is dealing with some water. I suspect the insurance company will be at that lot in the coming days to survey that particular damage. Not what the dealership owner wants to have to deal with on a Friday, I suspect. And there have been some flood warnings issued up around Atlanta as these storms have come on through. A lot of rain. We'll pull up that computer. We've got a new severe thunderstorm warning for Washington County, but it is far eastern Washington County. Sandersville, you're not included. We'll pull up a camera. We're going to take you to I-16 in Dublin, where conditions are improving there as well. This is our GDOT camera along I-16 in Dublin, where it is much improved. And things the worst of that is shifting east of Dublin. So travel along I-16 from Dublin to Macon is going to be a much better ride right now, which is certainly good news for any folks that need to make that trip this afternoon. But if you're east of Dublin, still a little bit of a rough ride, and between Dublin and Wrightsville, conditions are especially bad right now. But you can see 16 is definitely improving in the Dublin area. Back to our radar here. We've got 2 tornado warnings, neither of which the current radar evidence suggests should be enormously concerning.
That one's already moving out of the radar area.
Yeah. So, South Lawrence County, I'm not too concerned about the tornado threat there. I see what they've done with this Washington County storm. Let me take off the radar data. So they took what was a tornado warning and have converted it to a severe thunderstorm warning. But most of that warning is outside our viewing area. Davisboro, Riddleville, you're right along the edge. And what you can expect from that is very heavy rain. You're getting it now over to the Wadley community as well. And so that's what they've done, is they've taken what was a tornado warning and converted it to a severe thunderstorm warning upstream. Again, 2 active tornado warnings, but the signs of rotation are really dwindling right now, which is good news. If you're in the Macon metro area, rain is coming back in from the west. It's coming in from Crawford County, so heads up Bolingbroke. Rain is coming in right now, and that's going to impact other areas of Bibb County. So if we zoom in a little bit closer, heads up Lake Wildwood, Lake Tobosoffke, Lizella, the rain is going to be coming back shortly. If you're up at the shops at River Crossing, you'll have some rain coming back in. So North Macon, Zebulon Road, Bass Road, the Wesleyan area, Wesleyan Drive, Arkwright, on up to Pate Road. Get ready, it's coming in your direction. And so more rain coming, so you've got a heads up that you're getting ready to get wet if you have to be out and about. And as we go downstream, that rain is going to be coming towards Byron and Fort Valley. It's there, the leading edge is there, same for Taylor's Mill. And so while this is not severe, you can expect quite a bit of rain with that particular line of rain coming in. Again, west of 75, you could hear a rumble or two of thunder, but the severe weather threat is quickly fading there. But once you get over towards our far eastern counties, that's where the severe weather threat remains. Sandersville to Wrightsville to Dublin and Soperton, those areas east. Yes, we have an active tornado warning, but I just don't see any evidence of rotation any longer. And in fact, what was the rotation is now crossing I-16 west of Orland. So that's what's left of the rotation, and there really isn't anything there that jumps out at me. Officially, those warnings go until 12 o'clock, but Daniel, they may very well cancel those early. And we still have a tornado watch in those areas, and I believe it goes until this afternoon at some point, maybe 2 or 3 o'clock. Okay, they just canceled the tornado warning. Just canceled the tornado warning. So at this point, let's kind of recap what's going on. And for our folks in the back, we are getting ready to send it back to regular programming. But just to recap what's going on right now, you've got very heavy rain east of Dublin, east of Milledgeville. That's where the remaining severe weather threat is. And then if you are west of Macon, the heavy rain is there now. Gray, Macon, Warner Robins, Perry, Byron, Fort Valley. More heavy rain coming in, maybe a rumble of thunder, but we don't expect severe weather with that line. Is it impossible? No, but I don't expect that right now, which is certainly good news. And Daniel, give me the latest on that tornado watch before we wrap our coverage. I'll throw that map on the screen now.
Yes, so there is still that tornado watch that is in effect, Jeff, and that one is only for a few of our counties. You're seeing it near Sparta, Milledgeville, Sandersville, Wrightsville, all the way down to McRae, and this is going to be until 6 p.m. this evening, but just like with these tornado warnings, I can see them canceling at least our counties a little bit earlier because this is issued not just for us, but all the way along the Carolina coast as well.
Right. I think great analysis there. So one final look at the radar. Again, we've got some nasty weather from Dublin to Wrightsville, and all of that shifting towards the Louisville community, and that will get it out of middle Georgia. And then if you're in Macon, Warner Robins, Byron, Fort Valley, you'll have some more heavy rain coming in the next 20 to 30 minutes, but that should stay below severe limits. If anything is issued, of course, we'll bring it to you, but I think we're to a point where we can start settling down a little bit and take you back to regular programming. So I encourage you to watch the bottom of your screen for updates. We'll continue to update you there. Also, I know you've got this in your hand or it's right next to you, your smartphone. Take a moment, go to your app store. You can download the WGXA News app or the WGXA Weather app, or download them both. But they are great tools. You can get our interactive radar so you can track these storms down to street level. You can track them as they come into your neighborhood. And also of vital importance, if any warnings are issued, we'll send them right to your phone so that you're on the go. You can still get that warning. And the WGXA Weather app works off your GPS notification or your GPS location. So it's going to warn for your specific location. So it's a great tool, and I encourage you to download that, keeping you and your family ahead of the storm. So at this point, we have no tornado warnings in the viewing